What's up, Globezilla? You can come back up if you want to. We can talk about Jurassic World and shit. Yes, Kai. I am indeed snapped TV. Yeah, my bad, man. I just like when I got people up here, like I wanna, that are ops, quote unquote, like opposition. I wanna, you know what I mean? Like I wanna keep it on topic.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes
I,
I let people talk about other stuff and it gets off topic from my live chats. But I'm going to be completely honest. I think
hmm,
everything past the first two Jurassic Park movies is doo doo.
so look, I like Jurassic Park 3 for what it is. Like, okay, so the first two,
Jurassic
fucking
Park
master.
3 is crap.
Shut your fucking mouth. Absolutely shut your face, bro. Like, that is a good ass movie. Genuinely, for what it is, right. Let's accept it for what it is. It is a cash grab because there are only two books in the series. Every single movie after JP2 or The Lost World is a cash grab, 100%, including the World Series, right? Um,
I hate the World Trilogy.
I only like Jurassic World 1. What was it? What was okay? Name the Jurassic World movies in fucking order because I don't remember them now. There's so fucking many now.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion, and Jurassic World Rebirth.
Okay, yeah. So I like a couple of them. I like Jurassic World and the one after it.
Fallen Kingdom. I think Fallen Kingdom's a bit too crazy.
Mm, I like Fallen Kingdom. I thought that whichever one where like the island caught up aflame. I thought that that was literally, like when the dinosaurs actually did go across. I just hate that fucking. Bro, that's so dumb. Like, why would they just delete the dinosaurs, dude? Like, that's the whole fucking point of it. Like, that actually just makes me so mad. I've never been that upset over something like as trivial as this, but like, I'm fucking upset. Like, that's the dumbest shit ever. And I heard about the dinosaurs going extinct. I'm fucking mad, bro. Like I'm gonna aggressively pat the person who decided that with a pillow in the face. They're going to get aggressively patted with a pillow.
I had the idea for like doing a separate trilogy of my own
Hmm.
where the events of like in an alternate reality, the events of Jurassic World Rebirth never happen. But
I
because that movie doesn't exist in my heart.
Look, I just want a universe that explores dinosaurs living alongside humans. It doesn't even have to be in the cities and shit, right? Because like I don't care. Like as far as like dinosaurs, look, dinosaurs were fucking OP, right? Like as far as like the whole mammal thing earlier, dinosaurs are OP. Like I don't care. The only reason why
Mammals are
mammals
still evolutionary superior.
the and
Mammals are still evolutionary superior.
and
Mammals.
the only way I can give you that is the aspect of not having to lay eggs. That's it. That's literally it. And some fucking mammals still do that.
You do realize platypuses exist.
I just said some mammals still do that. They're monotrines,
Well,
platypi and echidnas.
I would argue that eggs could give you a higher population density.
Mm, did you know? So I didn't know this, but apparently the whole reason why placental birth even developed was because of a virus. I didn't know this.
Huh, interesting.
Like, imagine being a platypi, right? Or something like some ancient equivalent to a platypi, and you just having like some sort of fucking birth, birth. I was about to say birth. Oh my God, never mind.
Hold on. Speaking of dinosaurs and human living beside one another, do you know Primal?
Yes, that is such a fucking good show. Oh my God.
Better than Dominion.
I will have to agree. I'm not gonna lie. And I like that show for what it is. I see, because, okay, look, it's really confusing trying to understand the prehistory of that world because in some points I thought what it was I thought it was taking place in the past because Spears and Neanderthal. And in case you didn't know, Spears and Neanderthal. I didn't know that until like after seeing the first season. But yeah, Spears and Neanderthal, and I just thought that it was just a world where humans and dinosaurs had existed, right? Maybe like there were still dinosaurs in the world, but everything else kind of evolved normally, right?
But
But
then you get into the idea of de-evolution taking place.
no, it's not. It's not that. They're like what fucking threw a wrench into that was the whole ass Egyptian civilization, the ancient Celtics. Like there's like literally different groups of humans, and I guess you could
Hold
say like
on. I just thought of something. Isn't there like do you know the primal theory? Isn't that episode kind of explaining that prehistory aspect to it?
I forgot what the primal theory is. I think the whole primal theory is that like a human will unlock their fucking instincts or primal prowess when put in a lifer unalive situation. Also, high
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, so the whole point of primal is kind of it's taking place after that time.
But yeah, my point is though, right? It just
Presumably.
chronologically, it's so fucking jumbled, right? We have the Celts, we have mammoths, we have, and by the Celts I mean ancient Irish. You know what I mean? Um, like just like ancient Egyptians. It's just fucking fascinating, and it's so hard to like pinpoint chronologically like where it would fall in historically. But Liam, can I get your age for TikTok?
Diddy is free. That's all you need to know.
Okay, go away.
Why do you kind of sound like you?
I have no earthly idea.
Oh, so nice. I'm out of my back porch now. Got a dart, got a drink. I'll set up, change out of my monkey suit.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
love that. I
fuck
Okay,
love that
yeah.
for you,
Bigfoot
water.
imposter.
What's that?
Bigfoot imposter.
I got size 12s, bud. It's not an imposter syndrome. They're legit. My longest toe is as long as my little finger. It's weird. It's a
But
real thing.
damn, what was I about to say? Uh,
You're just
dang my
picturing my toes.
I'm not picturing your toes, water. You're funny. But man, I was gonna say something. I don't remember what though. Oh well, probably wasn't
You were
important
you,
enough.
you were you were talking about the Celts and how that was fascinating. The Celts being like the old Irish, Scottish,
Well,
Welsh.
not specifically that. We're talking about the show that it revolves around a Neanderthal. It's a cartoon. It's called Primal, but it
Um, we were
revolves
talking. So, Primal is a show about a caveman and a dinosaur that, after tragic events, get
a
together and
Neanderthal.
have to survive in a world full with magic and prehistoric animals.
Mm.
But basically,
It's
let's
an
let
adult cartoon, and if you're old enough, I would absolutely recommend watching it.
I'm old
he's
as
def
shit.
yeah,
I'm
he's
40.
definitely old. But yeah, it's really good water. There's like literally no speaking in the show. Like so, Spear. I'm not gonna spoil it, but he has a tragic backstory. Um, he meets. I don't know what ethnicity Mira was, but I think she was Middle Eastern. But she was a Homo sapien. But literally, he's like the only Neanderthal that's in the entire show, and his best friend is a fucking T Rex named Fang.
It makes sense.
It's fucking sick. But but
Right on. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. What's it
it's
called
on.
again?
It's called Primal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
but
which it's can you say the apps that everybody watches on this thing?
I think it's on
HBO
Prime.
Max. HBO
Oh,
Max.
Oh, okay. I know it's on Amazon
That's
Prime
the
as
only
well.
place where they have all of the episodes.
But
Really?
if I just want to see it, is it on Prime?
No, it's on HBO.
Okay, I got
So like,
Crave, so that'll work. That's why I got Crave is because of HBO. I wanted to rewatch Game of Thrones and Sopranos.
interesting.
Thanks, buddy.
But nah, I miss The Office. I miss The Office being on Netflix, and I will fucking attest to this every single day of my life. I'm mad. I'm going to, I don't know,
They took it
but
off, did they? Oh, geez.
years ago,
Oh, not up here in Canada. It's still because it's different, right? What you guys get
fucking
down there,
lucky.
and well,
Yeah, you
you guys
fucking.
get way more shit though than we do. And my wife
No, we
actually.
don't.
Oh
We get
yeah,
fucking garbage. We actually get garbage. So look, Netflix will. Do you know what Big Mouth is?
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yeah, Netflix will fucking and I hope my live doesn't get taken down for slandering Big Mouth because it has 11 fucking seasons. I don't know what the fuck about. I don't know why people need to see 11 seasons of prepubescent teens going through puberty and going through adult suggestive situations, which is really fucking weird. Which I mean, like to an extent, I kind of get because it's reminiscent of like growing up. Because like I did watch some of it until it got to the point where it was just like fucking unbearable.
I
But
watched a few episodes, but that's about it. Yeah.
it's weird. It's kind of funny, but like in some aspects, but it's not. But I digress. Um, they will like put new seasons of that slop on, but not give new seasons of actually good shit. Like I can't think of anything offhand, but like oh yeah, oh shit,
Squid Games.
Stranger Things. Stra- oh,
Squid Game just came out with the next season.
well yeah, but I'm like Stranger Things. We're still waiting on a new season for Stranger Things.
I still haven't watched Stranger Things, which makes people upset, but
So like it's
including my family. But yeah, especially since I am from like I am the age that those kids would be now. I'm 47. So you would think that I'd be I've tried it a couple times, but I haven't been able to get into it. Yeah, but
that's interesting. I like it. It's a really interesting show. I like the whole concept of like superpowered psychic kid that
yeah,
has an
it didn't
affinity or
turn
has.
sorry. Yeah, it didn't turn me off. It didn't grab me, you know what I mean? There's just so much content.
Yeah, it's no, it's very understandable. It's a lot of context that you got to get, but so off topic since no we have no ops. Well, we already are off topic, like fucking massively off topic. I'm gonna slightly go into some political shit. Um, have you heard about the quote unquote prison, Alligator Alcatraz? It's not a prison, by the way. I don't think it's a prison.
I've heard the term, so go ahead.
So basically, um, people are thinking that it's an American camp for learning how to concentrate. Take take the word concentrate and the other C word and then put those together because I just don't want to get flagged by TikTok. But yeah, people actually think um that that's what it's for because it's so much fuck shit that's going on in water. So I didn't even know this, but apparently Orange Man, um, the people that he deported,
Yeah.
he they were in shackles, right? And the planes that he deported them on were those old cargo planes, like the military cargo planes, right?
Yeah, I
The
saw some of
ones.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Tell me why people are finding bodies in Spain washing up on the shore that are
Oh
shackled.
no. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like
Well, could they
I
ID them? Could they not could they ID them? Like
I
that's the
I
question,
don't
right?
I don't think that they would be able to, but
Like
mm,
dental records and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
I don't know if they're doing it, but like it's just pissing me off that like the American dream is dying. Like I don't know. I've never really been a patriot, but it's just like I'm 25 years old and I'm actively watching this fucking country crumble. Like I've never been, I've never been a bootlicker. I've never really cared for this country, but I mean, like I live here, and like it's just been fucking crumbling ever since I've been alive and been able to comprehend what the fuck is going on.
Well, I can understand that perspective, man, because like a lot of the same parallels are here in Canada, or even worse.
Yeah.
Like kids, I say kids because I'm old as fuck, so I'll put, let me rephrase. So like young people have no
Hmm.
chance of owning a home. No chance. So like your base home now, like unless you go like way up north, or to a lot of areas of the country where nobody lives there for a fucking reason, right? Like
Yeah.
there's just nothing. There's nothing to do. And, like unless you are just all about the outdoors, and like winter for 10 months a fucking year, it's just shit. So um but yeah, like I bought my first house. I told you that story for like $3,000 in 2006 when I was 29, and dollars in 2006 when I was 29, and now, right, and it was 112,500 bucks. Now that same place, because I owned it until recently as a landlord, there it's worth 450,000.
Pretty good. I'd like to talk about evolution if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what we're here for.
I'd like to talk about evolution if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what we're here for. We're just shooting the shit in between guests. What do you got?
Okay. Well, I have a question about evolution.
Go
It's
for it.
not about micro evolution, it's about macro evolution. And my
So
question is, how do entire species change over time, even if you give them a million years? We've never witnessed that in the fossil records. Not
Well, we
once.
have.
If
We
you
have.
say we have, you're lying.
I'm
no,
not.
we're not lying.
I
So
mean,
like,
we have.
so go ahead.
Wait, you're good. I could literally give you two examples, whales and humans. But
You
I'll give you
think
another example. I'm not done. I'll give you
do
another
you
example. I'm not done. I will give you another
Sharky,
example
Sharky,
of something.
we like talking to people here. I'm just a host mod, so I'm just gonna lay
but do
some
you
groundwork.
honestly think
Sharky,
that
Sharky,
a
Sharky, Sharky. Hey, hang on. We want to
okay,
talk.
go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We want to talk to you, right? But we just like to on this live. We just like to give people the space to answer, and then speak, right? And it's kind of a back and forth with one thought being processed at a time.
I got
So
you. I got you.
cool, man. So you asked a really good question, and the host is going to respond. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. So, like I said, we have multiple fossil evidence. We're humans. We have plenty of transitionary fossils for aves, aka non-avian dinosaurs evolving into avians. Like Archaeopteryx is a literal transitionary fossil. Microopteryx, or no, Microraptor, not Microopteryx. Microraptor is a literal transitionary fossil. Um, some macroevolution, even though that micro and macroevolution are not even real terms, like that's not even
Yes,
used in
they
science.
are. They're
They're not used
absolutely
in the
real
scientific.
terms.
It's
Let me
just
finish.
yeah.
They're
Let it.
not used in the scientific community, in the wider scientific community. But I digress. As far as macroevolution, you can observe that in real time, but you would need to look at something whose that's reproduction cycle and the time it takes to mature are very slow. So think of like small lizards or
Or
amphibians.
bacteria is the
That
best
too.
example.
That too. Actually, yeah, bacteria.
So you can have like 300
What?
generations of bacteria. You can have 300 generations of bacteria because their lifespans are so short within a few weeks, Sharky. So we can see that population of bacteria evolve. Like, have you heard about like how hospitals have a hard time sometimes because it's hard to disinfect, right? So there's outbreaks of disease in a hospital. Like that's constantly their challenge. And it's because those bacteria become more resistant to cleaning products. And it's not because they lift weights or anything like that. It's because when they apply those cleaning products, it kills most of the bacteria, except for the ones that have a more of a resistance to it. And then they reproduce, and all those ones that reproduce have that same resistance. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's actually that's something that we call observed evolution. So that's a really good
So
example of that.
so you remember how back in 2020 when like they were like people weren't practicing social distancing and weren't actually, following the fucking rules, and we got a new strain of the big C every fucking 5 months. That's literally like when you have to get in, or when you have to get a new flu vaccine. It's literally the reason for that is because the flu or whatever, sickness or bacteria specifically it's pretty easy for it to at some point adapt to the what is it? I don't want to say vaccine, but what would you call that water? The medicine?
Sorry, I was typing to a response in the comments. I didn't hear. Sorry, can you repeat that?
So what would you? Because you know how like bacteria get like become resistant to like what is it, penicillin? Or well, I know they can be resistant to penicillin, but like specifically, what would you call that?
Um, I'm sure
Like
there's a better.
vaccine?
I'm sure that there's like a better term that I can come up with, but I can't give you a better term other than just resistance.
Well, anyways,
Sounds
like
like Cray Walton could hear it in the comments, but Cray, I don't think we're at this stage in that conversation. But
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sharky. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yes. I would like to ask one question. You have not given me any evidence of one species becoming another. You can talk
Okay,
about the
okay.
birds of wherever. It doesn't matter.
What
Show
are
me
you talking about?
where one species
Like, do you
became
want
something else.
do you want
So
contemporary? Because you're not gonna find anything contemporary.
the
There's
evolution doesn't
There's
nothing
work.
nothing
on.
in the fossil record. There's nothing in the fossil
There
record.
is
There's
multiple
there's
things in the fossil records.
Where? Please give me the example.
Well,
Yes.
the host did provide you a couple of examples. I'm not sure if you heard it or
Yeah, you
not.
probably weren't paying
I guess
attention.
I didn't.
Okay, that's fine. So there
He
is.
specifically,
Go ahead,
sorry,
Gilmore. Go ahead,
he
Gilmore.
specifically said that we have evidence of reptiles or dinosaurs
Yes,
becoming
sir.
avian through fossils like Archaeopteryx or
A,
Microraptors.
a
That's what
bird
he said.
became a dinosaur became a bird. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, dinosaurs are birds, or birds are dinosaurs.
No, that
Yes,
never happened.
Yes.
yes,
Okay,
they are.
Sharky. I'm gonna. Can I have some space to just
Go
interact
ahead.
with
You,
Sharky
you
for?
going to
Okay.
mute me or something?
No, no,
Okay, go
no,
ahead.
no, not at all. I just wanted to be able to talk with you, Sharky. That's all. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go through it. So you know how your mother and your father and your grandfather and your grandmother and your great grandfather and your great grandfather, you can never not be from them.
Yeah.
They will always be your ancestry, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so cladistics is the evolutionary taxonomy explaining that ancestry just way, 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 way far back. So if you go back multiple generations, right, you can never not have that lineage, right? Just like how you can't change what your local, mother and father and
What?
grandfather. So if you go back far enough, you'll eventually get to something you would recognize as a different species. It's just ancestry proven through the DNA, genomic sequencing, the fossil record, and it all aligns and supports one another. That's really all it is. The beauty of evolution is that it's not complex, is that it's easily fact checkable, and we have different forms of the science that
Okay.
okay.
Okay. But in order to have evolution, you must first have abiogenesis.
Right. And
Right or
so that,
wrong?
Yeah.
yeah, no, so Sharky, I'm gonna take this one too, Gilgamore, and then I'll let you
You must
go.
first have life coming from non-life. Is that
So
Yeah.
right?
No, I
so
was just
so
agreeing with him. Yeah.
yeah. So evolution doesn't start at abiogenesis. Evolution starts with the first living organism that we call Luca. So
Okay.
evolution doesn't include abiogenesis. Evolution is life comes from life, and the start of the evolutionary theory is that first single-celled organism that we call Luca. And that stands for the
Well,
last universal common ancestor.
yeah. So Luca isn't technically the first life. It's just the universal common ancestor. It's what all modern life came
True,
from.
true. So Cray, I'm just trying to have a remedial class here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got you.
So that's
Now,
that's
in
that's the
order to
D.
have life, you must first have non-life, right?
Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, Sharky. And you called out a few things, and
So how does the life come to be?
well,
I
so
can explain that.
go ahead.
Go
It's a
ahead.
little
Go
more
ahead,
complex.
please.
It's a little more complex, Cray. But I hope that Sharky, what I was able to tell you about the ancestry and how you do you understand that you can't evolve, you can't change your ancestry, right? No matter what you do, even if you have a falling out in your family, you're not going to change that lineage through your DNA, traceable from your DNA. So I just wanted
Okay,
to say
I'll
that.
give you that. I'll give you that. Go
All
ahead.
right, all right. So go ahead, Cray.
So so first of all, we need to, before we talk about how life came from, inorganic material, we have to first understand what is required for what we consider, at least I would say, the basic unit of life to exist, right? And there are four things that are consistent across every single taxa, across every domain, and that's carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic
Okay.
acids, and phospholipids, right? And so you technically don't need carbohydrates at the beginning, because carbohydrates don't do anything for cell division or for the proliferation of life. So you really only need phospholipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. So we can go over how each one of these came about through inorganic processes, right? So first, there's a few theories, or hypotheses, I should say, that describe this. The most popular one is going to be the RNA world hypothesis. And so this hypothesis pretty much postulates that RNA came about through inorganic reactions and organic reactions involving this thing called wet-dry cycling, right? So essentially, another thing you have to know is that
Wet dry
RNA.
cycling.
Yeah, so I can explain that after I explain first what makes up RNA, right? So RNA
Yes,
is made
sir.
up of three basic things, right? You have a nitrogenous base, which pretty much just means it is a carbon chain that is nitrogen rich, right? So there's a lot of nitrogen. And so the nitrogen came from the atmosphere, right? When early Earth, in early
Okay.
Earth, in the Hadean
Okay.
period, there was lots of nitrogen in the atmosphere, and there still is lots of nitrogen in our atmosphere today,
Yeah,
right? And
just
this would
most of
dissolve
our
into the
Do you
atmosphere
ocean.
think
is
that was always there, or is it
Yeah,
something new?
yeah. Nitrogen has always been, and we can actually test this by looking at very ancient ice caps, right, which
Okay.
trap gases when they freeze
Okay.
over. And
Okay.
so nitrogen has pretty much always been in the atmosphere. And so this would dissolve into the water, right? Carbon has also always been on Earth, right? This is something that has always been on Earth. Um, it is not, it is not technically indicative of life, right? It exists on many, it exists a lot of places, right? We found carbon
Is
chains
there a
on
reason
asteroids.
to get rid of planet Earth?
What do you mean, get rid of planet Earth?
You know what I mean. Get rid of the planet.
Is there a
Is it good enough a reason to exterminate everyone?
no.
What does that have to do with the the topic?
We don't
I was
understand
just
what you we
I,
don't we don't
I, I
understand
was
what you
just
mean.
wondering. I was just wondering.
Well, I
I don't.
mean, yeah,
Would it
nobody.
be
So
beneficial if we can
Cray,
derail?
Cray. Maybe if you could just land the plane on that without, just try to land the plane. That's all I'm going to say.
okay? So pretty much, what we did is we've had experiments done, right, where we've taken pretty much nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and what we've done is we've, as well as a little bit of heat as well, to sort of speed up the reaction, because heat was present back then. And so essentially what we did is we took these molecules, and we made a solution with them, and we put this solution through things like precipitation, and again like electricity, because lightning was also present, and this can also help catalyze reactions. And so what happened was we let them completely dry. We let them out on stuff like what is it called, borate, right, which is a boron-rich mineral, and we let them completely dry, and then we re-wet them. And what this is kind of simulating is pretty much when precipitation or near geothermal vents, when essentially when water would rise or fall from specific geothermal or even near tide pools as well, this would happen. And essentially when you do this, we were able to synthesize ribonucleotides, right? And this is RNA, right? These ribonucleotides would then also, again, through this wet-dry cycling, sort of come together into these things called oligonucleotides, right? And the coolest thing about RNA is that RNA can also have catalytic properties, right? So in our own bodies, in modern life, a lot of 90% of the chemical reactions that go on in your body are used by these things called enzymes, right? Which speed up the reaction. RNA is able to actually take the place of the protein in very early life through these things called ribozymes, right? And so we were able to synthesize the RNA or the nucleic acid. So that's one of the three things that life needs to survive, right? And then after that, this was a very old experiment, though it has been redone quite a few times with even greater success, is this classic Miller-Urey experiment, where he took pretty much the same stuff, right? And he was able to synthesize, so the proteins in our body are made of 22 amino acids. There's technically more, but 22 amino acids. And when Miller-Urey first did his experiment, and I believe it was 1957, he synthesized 13 of the 22 amino acids, right? Further experimentation was able to synthesize around 20 of the 22 amino acids. And this is from completely inorganic. This is from non-life, right? Completely non-life, made the essential parts of life. Protein makes life. Without protein, life does not exist. And finally, the phospholipids, they form completely spontaneously. Have you ever used soap and you see the bubbles form? Those bubbles are phospholipids. They're, albeit engineered phospholipids, but they are phospholipids. They form completely spontaneously because the hydrophilic heads are going to face around the water because they like water, right? That's what hydrophilic means. It means water attracting or water affinity. And then the hydrophobic tails, or the things that don't like water, will surround the inside, creating what's called a micelle. And this micellular formation would essentially house an area for further catalysis and further reactions to happen, right? And so Tom's in here, he actually knows a lot more about this than I do, but recently there was a study by a Spanish geochemist who actually was able to synthesize protocells in a borosilicate reactor. And they were complete protocells. They had complete membrane functionality, permeability, and so it was really interesting. And so this is how life came out. Now, have we completely made a fully functional cell that is, capable of things like mitosis or stuff like that? No, but we have every single part of the puzzle that is there. And it all is a matter of time pretty much before we're able to pretty much put all these pieces together and allow for this, and allow for life to pretty much come to be. But that is pretty much how life came to be. It's organic chemistry, systems chemistry, geochemistry, biochemistry, all in one big sort of,
Thanks,
yeah.
Cray. That was really well done. Now, Sharky, did you understand what he was trying to communicate there? Are you still with us, Sharky? Sharky? Hello.
He either walked away or he got lost in the sauce.
I hear the Windows startup song. Do-do-do-do.
Yeah, that was very well. That was very well done.
Yeah, that was really good.
So we're close to reproducing embryogenesis. Sharky is the moral of that story in a lab environment, mimicking
That's
the
so
conditions
fascinating.
of what the planet conditions were at the time that it occurred in a lab.
That's so fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Like, what do you think will happen if they did reproduce a cell and they just kind of like let it do its thing in like a enclosed environment? Because like I heard I heard people ask as far as like why doesn't new life like
It was
come about the same way that it did with abiogenesis. And I heard that the second any like amino acids or anything like that would form, it would just get gobbled up by the pre-existing microfauna that already exists.
That could be a possibility unless it's isolated, which
yeah,
more than
Yeah.
I
likely it will be.
because they've had what like 3 billion years to get ready for it. So anything that starts out was already at a 3 billion year disadvantage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or it could be the case that it does reproduce quickly in the sense that it, divides cell division like rapidly, and then you have old primitive cells.
So would
There's no funding. Like, how could you get that close and then not have funding
I'm just I'm just
available?
thinking
That's sad.
I'm just thinking of the bigger implications of this. Like, would it be possible, like, because
Available. That's sad.
do we have like primitive cells that are like the first cells to form?
No, we don't.
Okay, then yeah, okay, so then I'm gonna further go with this point. Like
So
the
what's kind of
implications.
cool? Oh,
Well,
carry
hold
on.
on. Let me make this point really quickly. I just think the implications of them, like I said, making a whole new like tree of life for one, because that would be an entirely new tree of life. Like humans would have effectively made life, right? And if they just let this thing, like in an enclosed kind of system, develop to a certain point, and then say it got out as, microfauna or a complex organism, like, I don't know, like, what do you think the implication, like, how bad for the world would that be, do you think? Or would that not even
Yes.
be like a issue at all?
No.
So there's a couple things that I've seen. Like there is a really scary thing going on where all amino acids I think are steric. So one I think it's the S configuration. And there's been science doing because everything works just flipped on the other way. And that's something that people are scared of because they're like, okay, none of our immune systems are going to be able to recognize this. Well, that's a fear anyway. So people have been very, but people are doing the research with it, and there's a big fear that if that breaks out, then it'll be able to just go completely unchallenged and do whatever.
So
Yeah.
wait,
Yes.
so it's amino acids that are turning S shape?
So it's like the other configuration.
Could you dumb it down for me? I'm not very familiar. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So like ice, yeah, like isomers, you got the same thing, but they're like the exact same, but then different configurations.
You
So you've
said the
got
same.
like is it the R and the S or is it the L and S or something? I haven't done chemistry in a while, but you've got basically all amino acids are the L. That's it, the L type, and essentially you're able to do it so it goes in the R type instead. And
Okay.
there's like research around this, but because all of our amino acids are on this particular time, there's a fear that like none of our receptors, none of our immune cells are going to be able to recognize this different configuration.
Okay.
We got to
So,
guess.
okay.
Basically, it could bring about very bad
Potentially, or it could just do nothing.
viruses or illnesses that you can't detect, or yeah, essentially it could do nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Brutal.
And
Can I
also,
get your age for TikTok?
oh, Also, Snapped, you were saying about the research, and it's quite cool because I'm doing my own research thing soon. That's to do with abiogenesis. Oh, I'm trying to. It's
Hold on a sec, Tom. Hold on a sec. You're good. Brutal. I need your age for TikTok.
Oh, I'm 20.
Okay. What do you got to say about the topic?
But yeah, bro, I feel like we are like evolutions from apes because we do like share similar characteristics, right? The tailbones, uh, I would say the skeletal structure as well. We do have like we got dumbed down in terms of like size and mass, but we do same similar like design, the structure. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. But go ahead, Tom.
Oh, jeez, yeah, I was going to say, I'm doing my own study on abiogenesis, or trying to, which would be quite cool. Specifically, the thing you're talking about, which is how would you be able to do it? So, with the idea that, because my whole thing is with like the amyloid world hypothesis, the idea that if you just have these kind of amyloids with the conditions and with like the metal ions, just to see what would come, and if you're able to get the kind of self-replicating organisms. Because although there's quite a lot of research on abiogenesis now, but it's mostly in Scandinavia, which kind of sucks. Because there's literally like a few dozen scientists, and that's about it. There's not like an insane amount of people going over it.
Well, there goes your fucking answer, Water. Why there's no funding?
It's so good.
It's only a dozen fucking people. See,
Brutal, do you have any questions for us?
I mean, not really, but I would just like came on to basically talk about it, give my 2 cents, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fair.
It's also dependent on like how they're being funded, whether they're like funded by the government or whether they're funded by external sources or like no party affiliate, like rich people that want to fund the project, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I know a few studies like the CTH Zurich and everything from the universities, but I don't know anything specifics on it. I do know that anything funding research-wise just hurts. It hurts my soul. I don't like it.
Well, I want to try to recreate the Miller-Urey experiment some way.
That actually, it was really cool. It's really not hard at all. Like, it's the way you did it originally is literally you have like the 2 test tubes, you have a tube connecting it and a spark, and it's just the methane, ammonia, hydrogen, water. That's it, and you just have the condensate that forms in the second one.
So how would you test it to see if there's even any amino acids?
I think they made sure it got sterilized first. I don't actually know. Do they use spectroscopy?
I don't know, but I
believe when
I was going to say either SPEC or NMR, probably.
Well, that was way too many people talking at once. Like, it was like 3 people. Ray, you said something? And Gilgamore, you can go next.
Oh, I said, yeah, they probably used, in the original Miller-Urey, they probably only had access to SPEC, but in modern experiments, they probably use NMR, probably.
That's cool.
Go ahead, Gilgamore.
Oh no, I was just saying that from the original like article that I read about the Miller-Urey experiments, I believe they did use SPEC.
See, they don't look. There's a reason why I didn't become a scientist because I would have fucked around and made Godzilla real. Like I know. Look, like I genuinely would have probably just gotten bored, wanted to try to like recreate Earth or something. Because I actually did have that like fascination as a kid. I wanted to see how. I wanted to know what dinosaurs looked like. I wanted to like, see how the first fish that came like Tiktaalik or whatever, like that, like ripped my brain. It had my brain by a chokehold. You guys have no idea.
It's really cool. Actually, it's ongoing. Is the dinosaur chicken experiments?
Really, they still are?
Yeah, they've been. I think they say they're halfway through, where they're trying to get a chicken and turn it give it the dinosaur traits.
Is that ever through like embryo, like arresting a certain stage of the embryonic development?
Damn, I can't copy your comment, right? Damn, send that to me.
Was that
Tom,
one? Yeah.
was that ever through like trying to arrest a stage of the embryonic development of the chicken?
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's cool. Like how has that progressed?
Sure, I think they're about halfway.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know specifics. I think.
yeah.
I don't know. I know specifics. I think there was a really cool one. I've completely forgotten what it was, but it's something to do with the beaks, where they've changed it. Oh, they gave it teeth. That's it.
So
It
I
should
heard,
be.
I
Because
heard when they were trying to like a lot of the embryos have like deformities, like Sonic the Hedgehog syndrome, I think it's called.
like
Yeah.
the
Where
essence,
like,
yeah.
go ahead.
Isn't that the thing that changes the feathers and the scales? Like
I
the,
thought, but I heard this from Oblivion, but Oblivion told me that that whole experiment won't work because of that specific thing, and it's basically, you know how Sonic the Hedgehog's eyes are like how they look.
sure.
That's basically what happens to the chicken.
I don't know how much I'd trust that. Like he's, yeah. Like the thing is about the teeth, where it's like if that one of those genes gets turned on, then yeah, usually the embryo doesn't survive. But I
I don't know
don't
about the
think
teeth.
just issues with the Sonic the Hedgehog gene are what they're like modifying with it.
No,
I
it's
don't
not
think
the
we.
Sonic. It's not the Sonic the Hedgehog gene that's causing it like to unalive. It's just Sonic the Hedgehog syndrome. Like it's like basically like a birth defect or whatever.
I'm
That's
not
not
It's
familiar
a,
with that at all. That's cool.
it's a deformity that causes the eyes to kind of be separate, but at the same time closing in together like they're merging.
like Sonic the Hedgehog's
Yeah.
eyes.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
have no idea.
we
But
gotta
I don't
guess.
think that it's necessarily going to be impossible, especially with CRISPR gene editing tools that we have now.
Yeah, I agree.
CRISPR keeps
But
getting better, and it's so cool. Like base editing, or even like Twin Prime, is just the coolest thing ever.
hold on a sec. Tricky, can I get your age for TikTok?
34.
All right, what do you got to say about the last topic?
Ah, man, I worry about the theory of evolution, to be perfectly honest with you. I understand that it's really sound and feels good. It's certain valid argumentation and stuff like that for the theory of evolution. It's just there's a bit of holes, man. There's a bit of holes. I worry because it kind of delves outside of the realm of science and goes into this notion of scientism. Because science, if we understand it, repeatable, observable, testable, right? And evolution, we don't get that opportunity to repeat and observe the evolutionary process unfolding. Now I understand we'll speak about adaptation like Darwin's finches and stuff like that. Maybe that's micro changes, that species do. But what you never find is one species evolving into another. At least we don't see that, or should I say observe that. That's maybe just one part. I got a multitude of
Just
other
addressing that, we
problems.
kind of have seen speciation with like the three-spined stickleback fish. I think it's a big old name, but we've able to observe it.
So what do they evolve into?
Well, there was the freshwater and the different types because there was like separation of them. They were able to have these different morphological changes, and they were no longer able to, produce fertile offspring.
Were they still fish?
So okay, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna stop you right here. So first of all, do you know what the definition of a species is?
Well, humor me. You tell me what a species is.
So species is any two individuals in a population that can reproduce and create viable fertile offspring, right? So that
Of
means
the
that
same kind, right?
can you define kind?
Well, a wolf and I don't know, a wolf and another wolf or something like that.
So I think I kind of understand. So I think
No, they weren't ready.
so I think I kind of know what you're saying. So would you agree
Wolves,
that
foxes,
so would you agree that
things like
fish only create other fish?
Yeah, well, then we have to define what we mean by fish, right?
Sure, but would you agree with that premise?
I think it's pretty sound.
Okay, so let's take two fish then, right?
Mm.
Let's take an oceanic sunfish and let's take a goldfish. If you breed those two, will they make fish?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried.
So they won't. That's the thing. They won't. Right? How about
Have
let's
they
take,
tried?
I haven't tried with an oceanic sunfish and a goldfish, but you can. We've tried with plenty of other animals.
But have you tried with that particular example that you just used now?
I haven't, but we could.
Then why do you make the claim?
Because it's a prediction, and if we
You're
didn't,
predicting, not interested in your predictions.
so
Give
we,
me something that is observable, repeatable, testable, right?
but here's the claim though, is that they won't make a fish. That's the thing. It won't
Yeah,
even
but that's
fertilize
the
the egg.
claim. I'm saying they might. Until we repeat it and we observe it and test it,
I'm sure
we'll
there's
never know.
probably an experiment where we've spliced two fishes' sperm and eggs, and nothing has probably happened. But I don't.
Then we'll have to. Then you and I will have to go and roll up our sleeves and get the goldfish and the other fish that you speak of, and we got to go and try and make them mate. And once we realize that it's impossible after doing 100 tests, then we can come to the conclusion that yes, in fact, your hypothesis is correct. I'm not too concerned about these things. It's just as long as we are operating in the framework of science and not scientism. That's the one operating in the framework of science and not scientism. That's the one thing that I worry about. The other thing that I'm worried about in terms of the theory of evolution is that in my observations, I see that everything around me seems to have some kind of a function to it, meaning that there's an intention behind the things that I observe. There's intention behind it. The theory of evolution hasn't got a mind and therefore cannot intend for things to happen. It hasn't got any foreseeing capabilities. It can't see things ahead of time. It's just this unfolding of things. It's a blindless, unguided process where it unfolds, and all of a sudden, here we are with our eye, with the lungs, with the heart that beats, and the blood that flows through all of us. It seems to me that this system that we have called our human body has an intention behind it. The theory of evolution has no mind behind it, and therefore it cannot intend for things to be that way. Now, if you say, oh, no, it's just the way that the cookie crumbled, that's on you. But now you're going to have to demonstrate how we can bring about a human body without a mind.
Intentionality.
Okay, so tricky just to discuss this because that's a fair point that it feels like there's intentionality when there isn't. But there are.
Wait, hang on. You're saying it feels like there's intentionality when there isn't, but you made a claim now.
And
Hold on, Tricky.
see that from happening is that you have all of these things. So, it's basically just predation, If you got a thing that's trying to eat you and a thing that really wants to eat, eventually they're going to be in fierce competition to not die, essentially. And we see this all the time. It seems guided in a sense that individual organisms just don't want to die, and they're going to try their hardest too. So any of these small quirks they could be neutral, but any way they could be used as an advantage, they are, because they don't want to get eaten, or they want to eat the other thing. So we see all examples of things that you're like, oh, this doesn't really make sense. It's okay, it has to. They've done it in such a way where it's just about work, It shouldn't, it looks like it's stupid. Like lungs, for example, we've got a thing where the hiccup reflex, that is on all the time. It's constantly inhibited. There's examples of people where if you get hit in the head, that inhibition can get turned off and you can just have hiccups for the rest of your life. And that's left over from when we had gills. We're trying to clear water from it.
Which seems to have an intent. It seems to have a function, right? It seems to have an actual purpose, having hiccups. Or let's just say, for example, having having the phallus that's between, because I would say that there's guys on this panel, having the phallus that's between our thighs, right? You saying that was evolved. I'm saying that there's an intentionality behind that, and there's a function that it serves, and the function is to, number one, procreate and whatever else you want to do. I'm saying without a mind, that intended for us to have this thing that has an actual function, that serves a function, without a mind behind the process of it all,
hang on.
You
No,
can't get
first
in
of all,
my
intentionality.
opinion,
hang on.
that's
Let me
not a
let me
very
get
good
in here.
example for your
Let me get
point there.
let me get in here
Oh,
real quick.
sure,
First and
continue.
foremost, the position that Tom just gave you is going to be the most parsimonious position. Your position is accepting what Tom just gave you, but you're adding extra steps. I mean, first and foremost, you have to first argue that that mind exists, but I'm not even sure what you're implying when you say intentionality.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm implying when I say intentionality. Anything that a human creates, right? Anything that they make, as there's an intention behind it, and then it actually serves a function, right? There's a function as well. Look at the iPhone, for example. Somebody intended for a phone, to come into being, and then they went about creating this phone, which now has a function. I look at the lung. I look at the heart. It has a function, it has a function behind it. I'm saying that anything that has a function behind it has a mind that intended for it to be that way. Now, I understand we get in an uncomfortable situation, but the prompt is about evolution.
Sure.
My argument is that evolution has no mind behind it and could not intend for something like a heart to function in the way that it needed to function, because
Yeah,
it
what's
has
going
no
to be your argument
foreseeing
for that?
Okay, so
capabilities.
just to address quickly, Trickers, you the second gave the example of like male reproductive organ of like, okay, this must have been perfectly designed. But I think that as an
No,
example
I
of
didn't say
something that
perfectly.
clearly isn't.
I
Well,
didn't say
let me finish,
perfectly.
please. Let me finish before you interrupt. Is that if you look at it compared at all, is that it's not a very good design because your ball is basically on the outside, which is not great if you want to not get damaged and reproduce. But it has to be that way because of the way because a long time ago, we realized that having them on the inside, that would cause all your sperm to die. And that's, that means they're on the outside. And if you look at it compared to other animals, ours look like a mistake. And you'd be like, okay, then how is that the perfect way to go? How is that the intentional route?
I'll
Rather
tell
than
you.
just a set of things that were good enough.
You ready? I'll tell you. The thing is, what if it was intended not only for procreation, but also for pleasure? What if there was the intention to also create a pleasurable experience? And what if having it on the inside would no longer ensure us having that pleasurable experience? I'm just
Well,
speaking
I
from the
doubt
male
being kicked in the
perspective.
balls is very pleasurable. I'm going to be real with you. I feel like
Well,
that's very
I
downside.
would go so far as to say that if you're getting kicked in the balls, you probably deserved it. And hopefully that's a course correction and you can improve on your behavior. So if you allow yourself to get kicked in the balls, you're probably a knucklehead and you probably deserved it. And that's probably the universe telling you to smarten up and stop being a jerk about things, right? So yeah,
But then
don't
again,
kick
I
shame.
think your whole argument there is
There
the
would be
fact
an
that if you can
argument
go
for evolution,
infantile
wouldn't it?
because you accidentally leave your laptop on your lap or you go in a hot tub, I don't think that's an example of something that was intelligently designed. I think it's
Okay,
just
so
something
if
that
it
was there
wasn't
and it was good enough
intelligently
and it worked.
designed, then you design it.
All the other species put it on the inside.
Not for all the other species, you design it. If it wasn't intelligently designed, then you do a better job of it, right? You
Put it
do
on
it.
the inside.
Yeah, but
We've been synthesizing
You
organoids.
what
intelligently
was that?
designed usually implies that something isn't complex, it's actually simplistic and practical. But when you're talking about the things that are found in nature, those are complex things that don't have any intentionality, or at least can be observed to have any intentionality behind them.
Complex
Intentionality in
things don't have
design usually
intentionality.
implies
Well,
exactly.
also
Complex things don't
that,
have
these
intentionality.
things, but to bounce
Yeah.
off what he said, these things took millions of years to come about.
Yeah, but no billions, not millions, billions, trillions,
Yeah,
bro.
well, not trillions,
Because
but
all the
billions.
evolutionist has is time. That's all they have.
I'm gonna give a good
You know?
example of how evolution there could not be any perfect intention behind it, right? So frogs, as we know them, frogs are good at jumping, right? They're good at jumping and they're good at landing. Well, not for this little son bitch. This little thing is called the pumpkin toadlet, right? It jumps, but it's shitty at landing. It just literally flies through the air. If you don't believe me, you can go and look it up. I literally cannot post a video on here, but the little picture next to the thumb, that's like a stop photo picture of it jumping, but they suck at landing. Like they literally just launch themselves through the air and they just spin around and shit. But again, Like if evolution was, the way that you're trying to claim it that it has to be, this thing would perfectly the whole design of everything would be perfect, which it's not. What like literally the way that evolution works is like a C student. Whatever works works.
Yeah, here's the problem with that. We are implying that design needs to be perfect. Number one, we are going to have to demonstrate what a perfect design is by designing it ourselves if we disagree. I'm not saying that design needs to be perfect. I'm saying that design needs to fit its intended function. In a pragmatic, in a realistic way. And
But
that's what I'm arguing. I'm not saying that it has to be perfect, but even if I said yes, design has to be perfect, and it's not perfect, because we've got our nuts hanging out as opposed to it being in, then why don't we design a human being that doesn't have that?
Well, yeah, I
so
Why don't we do
guess.
it?
so I have a bit of a so first of all, you say that intended function, right? That's what you say. So you say that everything has an
Intention implies a mind. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
So, but the function is going to vary based off of the environment.
And based off of the utility,
No,
of what
well,
it's actually intended to be.
no, but based off of the environment. And I'll give you an example, right? So there are these fish. Tom mentioned them briefly, called the three-spined stickleback fish, right? And these fish have these things called pelvic spines. And so essentially, these fish are marine fish, right? The majority of the three-spined stickleback live in the ocean, right? And in the ocean, there are extremely large predatory fish. And so to combat this, they have these large pelvic spines that sort of protrude out from their pelvic region. And this makes it harder for predators to eat them, right? However, when they need to spawn, these fish go into freshwater environments. And so when they go into these freshwater environments, sometimes they will get cut off from the returning stream back to the ocean and get isolated in these freshwater ponds. In these freshwater ponds, there are not large fish that are going to attack them. And what there are small, or actually they're pretty large, dragonfly larvae. And these dragonfly larvae have been observed, and we've observed this hundreds, thousands of times, to grab on to the pelvic spines of the three-spined stickleback and eat them, right? So what happened was a mutation within this region of the gene. The gene is called the PIDX1 gene, and it codes for many things. It codes for the pelvic spines, the jaw, the pituitary gland, and I believe the eye. And but the gene, certain regions of the gene will be expressed by this regulatory region known as the enhancer. And so what we saw is some fish were born without these pelvic spines. And we did experiments, and it literally took years to figure this out because we were using this thing called fluorescent microscopy to figure out where the gene was being expressed. And what we found was the regulatory region that makes the pelvic spines be expressed was completely deleted. It was completely gone in the fish without the pelvic spines. And guess what no pelvic spine means? It means that they can survive because they don't get in the fish without the pelvic spines. And guess what no pelvic spine means? It means that they can survive because they don't get predated on. Of the spines is to protect from predators. However, when the environment shifts and predators change, the function becomes moot. And now it gets deleted and persists through the population.
I see. Do you have an iPhone?
Well, can you address that?
Yeah. I'm addressing it. Do you have an iPhone?
Yes, I do.
Do you get software updates?
Sure.
End of story. Who's to say that this mind
what
can't?
causes the software update?
Who's to say the system correctionary factors that is able to kind of
But it's not correctionary.
adapt for things like this.
But
This is
the
going to
software
be this is what's going to be traditionally known as a false analogy. When you mentioned the iPhone and the software update in comparison to what Craig just said, that doesn't even logically follow.
How does it not logically follow?
Because he was
Because the
talking about
environment of
naturalistic
the iPhone is
processes.
not changing.
Of course it is. The software
What's
is
the
changing
environment?
every time you
That's
do an
not the
update.
environment. What's the
Sometimes it
environment?
drops certain things that are causing anomalies in your phone, and sometimes it actually.
But that's not the environment. What is the environment of an iPhone?
Are you
Are
saying that
iPhones
iPhone
green?
hasn't got an environment?
Yeah, well, what is the environment of an iPhone?
It's system. It's
How is
hardware.
that
It's
the
software.
environment? How is that the
That's its
environment?
environment. That's the whole system that it's
But
based
how?
upon.
No, what the analogy you're using, the system would be the actual genes of the phone or the genes of the animal. That would be the system. The genes
And
are the system. So
and the
what's
things
the
around it.
environment? What's the environment?
That's the whole phone.
Yeah, so there's no environment. That's the fish. The phone is equivalent to the fish. What's the environment?
I'm trying to understand what you mean by what's the environment to the fish.
So the
Because
fish's environment changed, correct? It went from a marine ecosystem to a freshwater ecosystem.
oh yes. You said that it can only procreate or lay eggs in fresh water,
Yes.
and
Well,
it cannot do it in
only.
salt water.
No, it can do it in salt water, but they go
Then
into
why does it do it in
freshwater
fresh water?
because there's no predatory fish.
So it never produces in salt water. Never.
No, they can and they
They
do. It's just when they do that, the eggs get eaten up really fast and they don't survive. So the
So
ones
then
that
why
go,
haven't they adapted to the fact that in order to ensure the safety of the eggs, they
I
should
don't know. Ask your
always
designer.
do it in that way?
Ask your designer. Why would that would be
They
pretty smart, right? Wouldn't that
they
be a
did.
good software update?
They came up with a way. They came up with a way to circumvent that. That's going to fresh water. That goes back into my point earlier. Evolution is not perfect. Whatever fucking works.
By the way,
Like
Trey, so what was the region that like got deleted?
It was I don't know the exact name of the enhancer, but it was simply the enhancer that allows for the folding of the DNA to transcribe the region of the PIDX1 gene for the pelvic
The
spine.
PDX one.
Yeah,
I
PIDX1 is
thought that had a
is the
lot of
coding
like.
region.
I thought that had a lot of cellular stuff as well.
Allows for the unfolding of the DNA. What is DNA?
Wait, so just before that, so with the PDX one, did that have any issues as well? Because I know
No,
I see it
the
like showing up a
gene
lot.
actually stayed completely intact.
Yeah.
So what?
What?
So the regulatory only for growing the spines, but the regulatory bits for making the other uses of the PTX one like stayed.
Yeah, they were completely fine.
Yeah. What is DNA?
That's pretty cool.
So Tricky, I just want to interject here for 1 sec before the DNA, because you're going to get an amazing example here from these gentlemen. So just before they go off into a 5-minute explanation of what DNA actually is, just like your argument about the iPhone to biological processes is what's called a fallacious argument, right? You're trying to inform an argument that is purely biological with a mechanical process.
Yeah,
And
Colin.
I'm making a philosophical argument to draw the comparisons to. I'm not saying that there is a direct correlation from the iPhone to a biological process. I'm saying this is a philosophical argument saying that if there's code,
Non-sequitur.
no, if there's code,
Called a non-sequitur.
if there's code in a phone, and there's code in a fish, there can be software updates which can course correct for any kind of like anomalies and things of that nature. And therefore you see, a fish adapting. Notice I never said anything about having a problem with adaptation, because that's a software update.
What
So
causes that?
I know, bro, but you
sorry,
don't have a problem
I
with
just
evolution then.
I just want to engage a little, like before, like you guys are so advanced that some of the conversation is just provides better utility when it's just base. So just on that, like we like what we're discussing, evolution is biology, right? So when you start to deviate from biology, you're not having a conversation about evolution. And now I'm going to let these gentlemen tell you what DNA is. That's all I wanted to say.
Do you mind if I ask one clarifying question for Tricky?
Go Go
I
ahead.
know that I'm late to the conversation.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Tricky. What would falsify? What kind of observations should we expect to falsify what you're saying? Because it seems to be that you're suggesting that evolution is intentional, which would imply to me that there should be some kind of I would expect, if evolution were intentional, that there would be continual
Negation.
progress. I wouldn't expect things like atavisms, for example.
To explain what those are, space potatoes.
Okay,
Yes, please.
so like an atavism is like legs on a dolphin.
Are
It's
there legs
a
on a dolphin?
ancestral trait that spontaneously appears in malformed and non-functional ways. It's like a tail on a human being, a leg on a dolphin or a snake. These things are not vestigial limbs. Like I'm talking about, like if you look up like an atavism for a leg on a snake, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the penis.
No. I'm talking about a leg. Is the like hips, friggin' feet, everything.
That's cool. I wasn't. Wait, so what's that word? So I'm not familiar with it. Atavism.
It's called an atavism.
Okay.
These are just ancestral traits that just randomly pop up because the Hox gene gets turned on again. But the genes that control like what the leg or whatever feature should look like have been mutated because there's no selective pressure for them, so that they just come out wonky.
Okay, so you're saying a dolphin has legs? Some dolphins.
Some dolphins are born with legs, yeah.
With actual
And
legs? How do these legs look
Yeah.
like?
They look like fucked up legs.
And where are they located?
Okay, I know what
Near
he's
their
talking about.
pelvis. What do you want? Like their legs.
Actually, whales have finger bones.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the front limbs. I'm talking about hind limbs.
The hind limbs. Okay.
Yeah, I know what he's
So-
talking about. And with the atavism, it's like the reappearance of shut off genetic traits that were more prominent in our predecessors, like humans and the tailbones. Certain humans will be born with their tailbones more prominent than most.
Yeah, so like dolphins, for example, can't smell. The genes in dolphins for smelling things in air have been turned off. Even though they have they don't have the ability to smell in air anymore. But an example of an atavism would be a dolphin that can smell.
And if dolphins could smell, how would we test that?
You just expose them to stimuli that would stimulate the olfactory receptors if they had them.
Oh, thank you, Snapped.
Oh yeah, look
Yeah,
at
you're
that.
welcome.
Oh,
with
that's
a lot of
awesome.
these, with a lot of these things, is it caused by direct mutation of the Hox genes, or is it more like regulatory stuff that gets turned on and off?
It's gotta be
Just
regular.
activating some recessive gene that is no longer like functional, like human, like the
That
human
doesn't
tail.
look like a leg.
Yeah, but is it the gene itself, or is it
Yeah,
like
I think it's a
promoted
recessive
eating?
gene.
Here, Snapped, can you bring up a snake instead?
Yeah, just give me a second.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
dolphin
tricky,
is a
even
bad
though it may
example.
not
Let's see the
look like
snake.
a leg, you could. I'm assuming that what we've probably done is looked at the actual bone structure of the leg, and when we look at the bone structure, it very likely has every single part that a normal leg would have. So tibia, femur,
Yeah,
toe bones.
I was
stuff like that.
expecting a leg. Let's look at the
Yeah, so
snake.
would it be the same with like polydactyly, where people have like an extra finger or an extra arm almost?
Like a
Yeah, you
mutation.
could say that polydactyly is a atavism, because I know early tetrapods had like 9, 10, 12 fingers. Like, I think some of them had 15, but
Okay. Is it
That's super
just
cool. I didn't even know that.
I don't know
didn't
for
know
sure,
that.
but
I think that would more be related towards like specific mutations happening or deformities occurring. Where
yeah, it
atavism
might
is
just
more
be a,
about-
a reemergence of a trait rather than
Yeah.
Well,
atavism.
Yeah,
the
that's
six
exactly what it
finger,
is. It's a reemergence.
the polydactyl thing is like a recessive gene too. There are some people that still have it.
Yeah, isn't it a single?
Yeah.
Isn't it SMP? It's like a single point mutation.
Yep, it's a recessive gene as well.
So yeah, and Oprah has 6 toes. Is that proof of evolution?
If her children have 6 toes and 6 toes becomes a more common trait in the population, then yes.
Yeah, maybe there is some kind of a, where there'd be an over exaggeration or an underdevelopment within the gene structure, whatever it might be. Maybe that could be an explanation for it, but I don't see how that would be like proof positive for evolution. I mean, if you're saying that evolution is an actual fact, and then you want to tell me people that have 6 toes, that's proof of evolution. I'm like, hang on a second, we're gonna need a little bit more than that.
Wait, but
to be
evolution
considered.
is
That's a
Probably
misunderstanding of what
His,
evolution is.
well, his original claim was what would be able to falsify what you are saying to be true, and why doesn't the data that we collect reflect what you say?
But you also got to keep in mind what he said earlier. One, evolution is a fact; it's a scientific fact. And two, you made a very specific claim saying that evolution was something that was related to a theory that can make you feel good, which is not even what evolution is. We don't posit evolution to make people feel good.
So are the cloacal spurs of a ball python vestigial legs?
Kind of.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, kind of.
Because that's literally the only thing I could find.
No, literally look up snake.
I can't find
Snake
like I
legs.
can't.
Atavism.
Yeah, look up snake legs.
I already did.
But you're so tricky. What's your response to that?
Well, there will be some kind of genetic, I don't want to say mutations, but obviously there might be some kind of an over exaggeration within the genetic structure that takes place that produces extra things.
Yeah, but
But for
like,
me,
what's your thing to the? How do you falsify your belief?
well, that does not take away from the intentionality of the actual species as a whole, right? Or as the actual specimen as a whole. A whale is still a whale, whether they have a leg or not. I'm saying that there's still an intentionality behind the function of a whale, there's, and that's what I'm saying. You can't argue away the fact that there's still intentionality, even if there's these kind of like anomalies on some of them. As a whole.
What about
Look,
if
I'm drawing a picture, if I'm drawing a picture, right? I'm making a picture, and I'm the artist, and I look a little bit closer, and I realize, there's a bit of a freaking smudge on my canvas there, and it's annoying the crap out of me. I'm aware of it, but nobody else can see it. Really, it's not a real big deal. It's still a nice painting. However, that picture has become deformed to me because there's this. I got bad canvas, whatever.
But you said earlier, which was there's a big difference between science and scientism, and that everything has to be, there has to be falsifiable, it has to have evidence, whatever. And yet you've made a whole lot of claims, and yet you haven't said any way to falsify what you've been saying.
You want me to you want me to falsify the notion that
everything has intentionality.
Everything that I observe, particularly when I look in the mirror, you know what I mean? And I look at my eye is there to see, all of these other bits and pieces. And I say anything that human beings create that has an intention behind it or a function behind it has a mind, obviously, naturally behind it. So when I look at, anything, I don't know, what do you want to look at? The firmament, species, anything like that? Rocks?
Yeah, I know you're
Rocks?
just rage baiting, but you've that's not falsifiable. That's not a thing of evidence. Like you've made a whole point about not having scientism, and yet you've refused to give any points.
Well, the only thing that he really touched on was just a watchmaker fallacy. But I mean, even then, like, if you were arguing that evolution has intentionality behind it that was due to a mind, would you say that the early extinction of earlier species would be intentionality?
Yeah, maybe the designer intended for those species to be extinct. Maybe
That's
they
kind of
served it.
odd.
Maybe it served its utilitarian purpose,
Yeah, but
and
see,
therefore
that's the
ultimately
scientism,
was
which is the thing that you said you didn't want.
taken out.
You had a go at evolution, like scientists being like, "Oh yeah, you make these claims about evolution, yet you can't prove them definitively," and yet you've just done exactly what you said we were guilty of.
What was that?
I guess he wanted them to be gone. I guess the mind wanted these things to be extinct. There's no way to, like, how would you prove that? And how would you
Yeah.
prove that it had to be intentional?
Comes back to my iPhone analogy, right? You have a software
That's not-
update because
that's not an
unwanted
argument.
things,
There's no set of
unwanted
variables.
things that no longer serve a
Wait,
purpose,
Tricky,
to the
already
entire
established.
system.
But that's an
That's
analogy.
also
Once
not
again, that's
even
not
like
evidence.
Guys,
already
we're
established-
having too many conversations at once.
We've already established that that's a false analogy. Can pick a different analogy, please.
It seems like because you're like, okay, we have to give something with evidence, but you're not giving any.
Okay,
You know?
let me make it even more clear for you. Number one, it cannot account for the origin of life. It can speak about the things that are unfolding as we observe it, or at least it gives a hypothesis on how things came to be. The other thing is that we do not have any evidence, so to speak, of transitional fossils.
Oh, we
In
absolutely
the fossil record, and maybe
finish.
I'm wrong.
Cool, but once again, none of them are for your point. Literally, you're just none
Yes,
of
it-
those
yes, it
things
does,
are
because-
giving evidence to you. You say
Yes,
you
it
want to
does. Because the
falsifiable.
evolutionist
What's the null
is delving
hypothesis and
into
what's the science?
scientism, and they are not sticking to the parameters of
No,
science.
ignore
And this
that.
was my
Tricky.
initial
Before you just
argument.
repeat yourself,
So
can
the
you
thing
say,
is,
what experiment would you do? It's that
Okay,
simple.
so tricky. There's two things you're conflating. You're conflating abiogenesis with evolution. They're not the same thing.
Yeah, Christopher, we tried that. We tried this one already. This is how the conversation started. Just that evolution starts after abiogenesis from first life for Luca. That's how this whole started. You weren't here at that time, but now he's reverting back to the the argument that he came in here with that we've tried to explain as far as when evolution actually starts. It's from Luca, so it doesn't seem like you picked up on anything that we've said, Tricky, as far as what evolution actually is.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems-
okay.
Oh.
Can somebody
It seems like
somebody
addressing
explain to me as a layman what evolution actually is?
Yeah, it's
changes in
two
lead
just
frequency, but
states
once
with no
again, it
real
seems like you're
frequency.
dodging and dodging and dodging and refusing to actually give
No, no,
any
no, no, no,
evidence
no,
to
no. I
your
just
point.
asked you a simple question. Can you give me
Yeah,
a
once
simple
again,
answer?
but you still haven't answered the question that we've given you.
Okay, what's the question again? Sorry.
How can you prove yours? What experiments can you run to prove that there had to be intentionality? How
Yeah,
would you
see, my
falsify it? What
argument,
would you do?
and granted, my argument is a philosophical argument. Now, whether you want to say that that's not a reasonable argument in a scientific debate, that's also completely up to you. But I am making a philosophical argument regarding intentionality and that which we observe around us. It seems to me that anything that has an intention behind it has a mind behind it, and the things that I observe seems to have an intention because it
Sure,
has
okay,
functions.
Hang on.
Once again,
So it
that
sounds
seems
to
like
me
it
like
goes directly.
Evolution
Like, you've
has
had a
no
go.
mind behind
Hold
it,
on, guys.
and therefore it cannot intend for things to be.
Wait, hang on. So you're saying you're making a philosophical argument, but the problem is that you're kind of mixing in different philosophical fields when you're making your argument. Like you're talking about things that we do know, which is epistemology, and then you're talking about teleology, which is purpose and meaning. So which one is your argument based on? Because we need
Both.
to be dependent on one aspect, and then you can argue for the other aspect. But right now you're conflating two different aspects of philosophy.
Which one would you like to address first?
Yeah,
Because
we can talk
take
about
it.
we can talk about the epistemology because that's the question that Tom is asking you.
Okay, let's talk about that. What's the question regarding that? My argument, should I say?
Ask your question again, Tom, and then we can go from there.
What question regarding falsifiability? Oh yeah, what how would you prove definitively you're one? Like, what evidence would work? What experiments would you run? What would what would the different things be? What would the null hypothesis and what would the alternative be? Like, how? Because every scientific theory is falsifiable. If these things aren't true, then we'll be able to throw it out with evolution, with germ theory, all these different things. So what are they for yours?
Okay, for me, the way that I would falsify my position is if I were able to demonstrate in a lab, whether it be Kansas or Washington or wherever else we are, that we can observe the process unfolding, in real time. That to me would be a falsifiable thing for my position.
So, but at what level would you say? Because we have done that multiple times. Because I
With
know
what?
that if I told you about the CYP plus gene and the long-term evolution experiment done with E. coli, you'd probably just say, "Oh, that's just adaptation. That's not evolution." So,
Yeah, I probably would.
so I'm wondering
But
what.
adaptation is evolution, Tricky. That's something that you're failing to grasp. Is that the two adaptation is within evolution.
Yeah, the thing is, that's exactly what I wanted to address, right? I've got no problem with this idea of micro and macro. I understand it's a very sensitive concept, this idea of micro and macro, because to the evolutionist, it's all evolution. However, the macro part of evolution does make up a large portion of the literature that supports the theory of evolution. I have no problem with adaptations. I have no problem with the Darwin's, Finches, and things of that nature. The problem that I have is when we start to see, these drawings in our children's textbooks that shows the transitional, aspects of evolution unfolding to where we now become men. My thing is, if we're going to keep it strictly science, then we need to have a mechanism for which we can view, observe, and repeat and demonstrate, this process happening in real time. Not Darwin's, Finches, or an adaptationary thing, but I'm saying this wholesale kind of evolution.
You still failed to provide one for yourself. You say we need one of these, but that for your position, you refuse to give one of them. You say you haven't given any examples of an experiment.
My position is simple. My position is simple. Maybe I made it too simple.
No, it's not simple. You have to. What you have to do is you have to provide your stance with the same standard as ours. You can't say, you can't observe the lab. You can't.
So Tricky, I want to ask though too, because we've spent a lot of time discussing things, and it seems like be a little bit circular now. But you asked at the beginning why there's no transitory fossils, but we provided you examples of those transitory fossils, and then the host actually put up on the screen in the big box. I don't know if I think you saw that because we're up there for about 10 minutes, an actual transitory fossil. So there it is again. How do you contend with that? I'm really curious as how you contend with we don't have any evidence of a species transitioning into another when it's literally on the screen right now and you can easily research it for yourself.
Yeah, I think even better than that.
About Archie, good old Archie, right? There is a multitude of varying opinions regarding Archie. I don't have the literature in front of me right now, but if you give me 3 seconds, I can pull up the arguments against good old Archie, which is a very popular argument, but it's now being challenged to such a degree where more and more scientists and evolutionary scientists are not using Archie as a valid way to demonstrate evolution. And give me 3 seconds. I got it in my notes here. I think I did take it in my notes. So give me a second. You guys can speak among yourself, and then I'll come back.
Okay. So Cajun, sorry, hang on a sec. We haven't welcomed Cajun to the panel. So I just want to say hello, Cajun. What's your age for TikTok purposes?
Hello, I'm 36.
Hey, do you while we've been chatting with Tricky here now for about an hour, and it's been really great discussions. Do you have any questions or discussions you want to bring up?
No, just like when y'all talking about the whales and the dolphins having like things that used to be feet and stuff. I was thinking about like people have like tailbones. I don't know.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And I agree with the evolution
So,
side of it.
so
Yeah.
on that, something I find really interesting about the tailbone, like it's vestigial, right? It's a vestigial tail. Like it's, you know, it still helps us balance when we're sitting.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And
You
I
know,
love the
also, like Milton said,
I love the fun
Wait,
facts part, and what I really like is that we have some like literal experts in the
does
field, and I'm still fascinated by like, hey, here's this fun fact.
wait,
and
but does he not realize that every living member of a species that dies that we find fossils of is a transitional fossil?
Yeah,
Does he
I was
not
gonna
realize that?
That's a
I was
good
gonna
point.
ask
Okay,
him
before we
what.
move on, Craig's been waiting to speak for like 3 minutes. So just...
Look,
I was
I
just
think
gonna.
it. Sorry,
Oh,
go
I was
ahead,
just.
Gray.
That's all good. I was just gonna ask him what would, because to your point, Christopher, like what would audit a transitionary species? Like what is the perfect transitionary species? What would you predict a transitionary species look like that isn't Archaeopteryx or that isn't Basilosaurus or Cuchicitus or Rodenocetus or, like what are you trying? What would be the prediction that is not Archaeopteryx?
He answered it. This is like he's saying he's making a philosophical argument, but I think if he's making a philosophical argument, it's important to also call him
And
out on his
to
logical
Yeah,
flaws.
and to further the
Because
he's
point
we kind of
to further the point as far as transitionary fossils, transitional fossils are not rare. September 25th, 2008, and this is on the National Center for Science Education. So that's ncsce.ngo. Like, this is actual reliable site.
yeah, he's not going to essentially hold to that because he just made the claim that it has to be observed in real time for it to be
Yeah,
acknowledged, at
so
least in his position. Which is,
yeah,
I
so
mean, it's
Aki,
essentially just an argument from ignorance, but
so Aki, in as much as the attempts were made to actually show that this is a dinosaur-like thing that evolved into a bird, Aki is just a bird. It's a perching bird, and they've tried to justify this fossil and try and say that it is some kind of a dinosaur, whatever, evolved from the dinosaur. It's not. It's a bird.
so tricky. What
So
are the
birds are
characteristics of a
dinosaurs.
perching bird?
Sorry, repeat.
What are the characteristics of a perching bird?
You tell me.
So perching birds, all at least modern avis birds, don't have. They do not
Teeth.
have teeth. Exactly, they don't have teeth, and they also typically don't have an elongated tailbone, right? And so what we find in Archaeopteryx are defined sharp teeth extending from a beak-like structure, as well as a long tailbone that, in addition, I'm not too sure about this, so I really shouldn't say it, but there is definitely something about a perforated acetabulum that I really should look more into to be definitive, but it is a part of the hip socket that is only found within the clade known as archosaurs, right? So when you look at other reptiles, or at least non-avian, I think it's either non-avian dinosaurs or some other reptiles, they don't have this perforated acetabulum that Archaeopteryx also possesses. So I don't know what are the characteristics that Archaeopteryx does not have that would make it a perching bird, or that does have that would make it a perching bird. And specifically, are you going to be referring to modern perching birds, or are you going to look at ancient examples of birds? Because although Archaeopteryx did not exist at the time, or sorry, although modern, what we consider birds did not exist at the time of Archaeopteryx, there were ancient birds that we could also look at and compare the fossils from those birds to Archaeopteryx. So what do the perching birds have, or what does Archaeopteryx have that would make it a perching bird?
Yeah, and that is a valid question. For me, simply the argument will lie in the idea that it was first a dinosaur bird and then it became an actual bird. Is that what the whole point of this is, or?
So no, we're saying so Archaeopteryx represents a sort of transition from although I don't it'd be better if somebody that was better at paleontology than me would say this because I don't know my dinosaur and taxonomy and
So
It's okay,
different
Craig.
types
so
of
quick.
stuff.
So quick question. I
I've
just
got
wanna ask Tricky a quick question. Do you think birds are the only living member of its clade?
Well, there are varying forms of birds, but
No,
they
no, I'm
still
saying like
fall
birds as a general. Do
clade,
you
right?
think they're the only members of its clade of Archosauri?
What do you mean by clade?
Yeah, I was going to say he doesn't know what a clade is.
You
For
know,
starters.
okay. So, hold on. I have to actually I'll be right back.
That's all right.
A clade is a group of organisms and all of its descendants.
Yeah, so almost like a kind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, same kind. Yeah, provided it's of the same kind, I have no problem with that. You know what I mean?
No,
Yes, we
I'm
have
saying
variations in that.
I'm asking you like a specific question. Do you think they're the only living members of its clade?
Well, a bird is not an eagle. Eagle is not a pigeon. If that's what we're saying.
No, but they are still birds, and they're
But
still
they are still birds.
archosaurs. Yeah, they're still
Yeah,
birds,
yeah,
and they're also still archosaurs. Do you think that all archosaurs are the only birds? Yes or
yeah.
no?
I think so. No, I think so. Yeah.
You would be wrong. You would be wrong because guess who's also an archosaur?
Who?
Crocodilians.
Really?
Yes, all crocodilians are more closely related to birds than any other reptiles. Because guess what? Birds are reptiles.
Except for one important distinction, right? Maybe two.
Which would
Crocodiles
be
can't fly. Crocodiles don't have wings.
Emus don't. Emus don't
Crocodile's
fly.
bone structure is a little bit different to a bird's bone structure. So I'm trying to see the similarities here that you're
Some
highlighting.
birds
Yeah,
don't fly.
tricky. I've got a really cool thing actually. So they found out this was done, I think, 2018. I might be wrong. Where within a crocodile, a mutation within the SSH gene, they were able to switch it off, and it was able to turn the scales into feathers. Like it's really cool. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Same thing with chickens.
That's amazing.
It
Hey,
It
listen,
is amazing.
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. Obviously, I mean, if you have a set of code, let's just say that you can work with, right? And you are trying to develop a certain application for a particular thing that you are trying to intend, let's just say, right? You're not going to need some code. You're going to need others. You're not going to use all of your code that is available to you on one thing. You're only going to use the code needed for the thing that you're intending at that particular moment
Which
in
is
time.
what would
So,
be driven by evolution. Yeah, because things take energy. Have you ever heard?
so you said that it's intended, right?
Not intended. It's
Did
the
did
fact that
evolution
if
intend?
there's not enough food, only the important things are going to be there. You know, there's no
Okay, so
intentionality in there.
okay, so did evolution intend to turn off that gene? Oh,
It was a random gene mutation. I mean, because the fact that we're able to see chickens randomly develop it and develop things. Do you think people with genetic disorders, do you think that was intentional? Do you think people that get cancer, do you think that is intentional? Like, do you
Good
think all
answer.
these horrific genetic diseases?
no, that would be an anomaly in the system, wouldn't it?
Okay, so you admit there were anomalies and you admit
Let me put it this way. A doctor goes to university and studies for 7 to 10 years to be a doctor. The only reason why a doctor can tell you why there's something wrong with you is because a doctor knows when your body is functioning at its optimal levels, right? They know all of the balances, they know the chemicals, all of the things that will promote a homeostatic, should I say, hopefully I'm using the right word, thing in your system that would allow you to be functioning at an optimal level. Now, because they've studied those levels and they've studied all of the things, when these levels are not where it needs to be, that shows an anomaly, and therefore you're sick. Something is going wrong in your system, right? Now, these diseases or breakdowns or things like that, this shows that there's something wrong with how things ought to have been.
There's a reason for it, though. An anomaly.
Sorry, so what, people born with... I genuinely don't understand your argument, like, at all. Like, what?
Okay, so your initial argument was, why are there cancers and why is there deformities in people, right? You know, yes, there are deformities. Yes, there's an over-exaggeration, but that doesn't negate that this person is still a person.
Yeah, I
right?
understand that, but was it intentionally given to them? Did they intentionally get FOP, and did they intentionally turn all their muscles into bones?
No, something about the process, something about the process, it didn't go correctly, should I say.
Okay.
So that might have not been...
randomly. Oh, okay.
So that might not have been how it was intended to be. However, something went wrong, and therefore that's how it came out. So I don't know what it was. Maybe it's genes. Maybe it's a genetic characteristic carried on from one, generation to the next, which
so
ultimately...
you're saying that randomly genes can mutate and randomly, things can change?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that if you are procreating, let's just say you've got your great-great-great-grandfathers, and they carry a particular gene, right? It might be a, whatever, a characteristic of whatever, and this has come through a certain process, and all of a sudden somebody has a deformity in your family. Where they got Down syndrome or something like that.
All right, Tricky.
It's not something that has to be. They can just appear. Like you can have certain diseases that appear later in life that your parents didn't have before, that it isn't in your lineage because something's gone wrong and something has mutated.
So you're saying that somebody that has Down syndrome, that's just random?
It's already been there, but there are certain things that can appear because of, like, you know what mutagens are? Like carcinogens, like they cause damage to your DNA.
Random.
Yeah, exactly.
But Tricky, I've got a question for you. Is this intentionality that's involved in, like, biodiversity, is it a fucking asshole?
Well,
like, is it a jerk? Is it malicious?
Your asshole has a function, doesn't it?
No.
It has an intention.
Like, I'm talking about, is it malicious? Is the intent malicious?
Hey, listen, if you have the same schmeck's persuasion, then it can be, because somebody would want to do something malicious to your asshole.
No,
so
it's not
Tricky
about your actual asshole, though.
Like, is
I'm asking if it's a jerk.
What about
he's gonna take it there?
If somebody
this
has
intentionality that you're talking about malicious, or is it benevolent?
Oh,
or
you're
is
actually
it
speaking
ambivalent?
about the mind. You're speaking about this mind that is behind the process.
Yeah.
Is it malevolent? Is that what you're saying?
Basically.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Does it have tendencies to be malevolent? Maybe. Does it have tendencies to be, good and fruitful and, creative? Yeah, possibly. I don't know. All I'm arguing is that it seems to be that there is an intention behind it.
I guess.
And you can't have intention without a mind. That's what I'm saying.
The thing that I don't understand about the whole intentionality argument is it's just me.
So how are you claiming to understand anything about what this mind is doing or intending if you don't know anything about it?
No, I don't need to know. I don't need to know what the mind is intending. All I need to know is that anything that has intention behind it has a mind. I don't need to know the inner workings of that mind in order for me to deduce that there's a mind that intended for things.
Okay, is that mind intelligent?
Maybe, maybe not.
So Tricky, I have a question. Tricky. So you said that everything with function. So does that include things that are slightly dysfunctional? So they still perform a function, but it may be a bit different from its intended function. Is that still intended?
We have to ask what was the intended function. You know,
So I'll use something like sickle cell anemia, right? The function of hemoglobin is to transport oxygen throughout your body, right? But a
yeah.
single amino acid change causes your red blood cells to be in the shape of sickles. So they cannot adequately transport oxygen throughout your cells, right? And so did the mind that's controlling it do that? And if it did, then I'm going to contest that by talking about some chemistry.
No, I would like to hear your chemistry argument, to be
So
honest, because I guess that's.
do you know how proteins fold?
I have a layman idea. You know, yes, there is the folding process. Yep. But you can expand on that.
So proteins fold because certain amino acids have different side chains, right? And these side chains can be hydrophobic, hydrophilic, they can be charged positively, negatively charged, acidic, basic. Essentially, when these side chains interact with one another, they are going to fold the protein in very different ways. For example, if you have two positive amino acid residues, they are going to repel each other, right? Two positives repel each other. So if you have two hydrophobic or two nonpolar, they might come closer together. If you have a polar and a nonpolar, they might repel each other, right? So all these different amino acids have to come together in specific ways. Right?
Exactly. I was about to say specific way.
However, do you think they start folded?
I don't know.
They don't. They start linear. They don't start folded. The way that they become folded is through thermal motion. The heat in your body vibrates the amino acids in the chain and causes the protein to take on millions of different conformations in a very short period of time.
But in a specific way.
Not in a specific way, because it's looking for a specific not in a specific way, because it's looking for a specific type. But in that process, to get to the specific type, it goes through hundreds of thousands of different conformations until it reaches the lowest energy state possible. We know how this works. We know there's no mind behind it. We know that it is simple chemistry, biochemistry, and kinetics that drive these forces. So would you say, so I would say that there is no intent behind that. It's simply chemistry.
I'd have to have a think about that, because I actually, I was watching also like a doctor as well. Now, not a doctor, he's more like a chemist and things like that. And he was making this argument of the folding and unfolding process that takes place. You know, very complex discussion, way above my intelligence grade. But the argument that this individual was making is that it has to be in a particular way, and it needs to be able to have the particular, you know, molecules or, you know, things to attach to, I think, is it the amino acid?
Well, it depends on what the function of the actual protein is, but the folding pattern that makes the protein is not completely, there's no intent behind it. It's chemistry.
Yeah, but then it breaks and then it links up again, right?
No, it doesn't. It's simply because the protein is moving when the amino acids are moving, right? So when it comes out of the ribosome, which is just the protein maker pretty much, it comes out in a linear strand, right? But there are also certain parts that can also influence its folding pattern, such as acidity of your blood. If your blood is too acidic, if your blood is too basic, it may affect it, right? Or if the temperature is too high or too low, then it might actually misfold the protein. However, the amino acid chain is the exact same. The specificity is the same. But if you put it in in an acidic solution or in a basic solution or in a solution
Falls
that's
apart.
too
Yeah.
hot, it will misfold despite the specificity still being there.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, right? And that's wonderful. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's why we have these conversations. Let me ask you this. In the process that you just described, the folding and unfolding of the protein, right? What's the goal?
The goal is to reach the lowest energy conformation. That's the goal.
In order for what? In order for what to emerge?
Nothing to
Because
emerge.
of
It's just the goal of the protein is to reach its lowest energy conformation. That is the goal.
So it has a goal.
If you want, yeah, but the goal is just not goal. It's just a tendency. I should say that.
Tendencies.
Because the tendency is driven off of entropy and enthalpy, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
Tricky,
things like
when
you
you
say
Yeah.
want to get the lowest energy
when you
state.
put headphones in your pocket, do they get tangled up?
I have wireless.
Okay, if wired headphones.
Well, if you don't fold them correctly.
Okay, so if you just put them in your pocket, they get tangled up, right?
Yeah, that's why you have to fold
Okay,
it correctly.
why did they get
just like the
tangled up?
protein?
Do they
Because I'm not
intend to
folding
get
it
tangled up?
No, because I just put it right there without actually folding it correctly. But if
Okay.
I have an intention to fold it correctly, it's not going to get tangled up like the protein.
Okay, so the proteins are fold up for the same reasons that your headphones will tangle up in your pocket. They're just moving according to their chemical and thermal properties.
But it's moving towards a goal, right?
No, it's moving to a lowest energy state.
And ultimately, what does that lowest energy state? Once all of the proteins necessary to form an organism has, unfolded, should I say,
never
then
happens.
what does that look like? Does that
Proteins-
look like a human being?
Well, no, because proteins
It just looks like a
constantly
protein.
break down and get remade.
just a
I mean,
protein.
proteins fold wrongly
They
sometimes.
exist in nature all over the place.
Yeah.
So DNA, this is part of the process, is it?
Yes, could I actually touch on this? So, what I don't understand about this whole argument, especially, is that just as us, with approximately 10 trillion cells, okay, each one of them, you've got an entire thing, and it has to get replicated. Most of them do. So, multiple times they'll have to go, the entire genome will have to get done. The mechanisms to do this, the DNA polymerase, it gets wrong. 1 out of 10,000 to 100,000 times, it puts the wrong base in. We have a genome of 3.8 billion nucleotides across. That's a lot of mistakes. We have a lot of mechanisms to try and fix it. We have BER and base excision repair and nucleotide excision repair, all that kind of stuff. But essentially, it goes wrong a lot, just because it's fast and it needs to be fast. Now, this happens all over, and that means that we accumulate mutations because the machinery to do it isn't amazing. So are you heading off? Have a good one, Cray. But as it keeps on going, this machinery is going to start going wrong, and mutations are going to accumulate. This happens a lot. I think it's on average 6, maybe 32. I'm not sure per cell division, but these will accumulate over time, and this is happening all over our body. Just our body has 10 trillion of these that can happen at any moment. Now, times that by a species of a group which has potentially millions of different organisms, all constantly making new and new organisms, all constantly going through this process on scales that we can't even comprehend. Think about how many generations there have been in the time frame. It's not one generation a year. When you think millions of years, no, think about trillions of different generations through there. Of course, you're going to get so many different things. Having just one guy meticulously going to each cell and changing a little bit and changing a little bit just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. So I'll continue, Chris.
So what I was gonna ask you is that you say that these processes, right, they were designed, right? Correct?
I'm saying it has an intentionality behind it.
It has an
It seems to be
intention,
working
right?
towards a goal.
So does the does the thing, is there a thing that has that gave it an intention? Yes or no?
I'm saying anything that has intentionality has a mind behind
Yeah,
it.
so tricky.
Okay,
Just to, so
that mind. Hold on. It's a list of questions. So with that mind, right? Did it have an intention? You said it has an intention, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And is that mind intelligent? Do you know,
It
or
would
how would
probably
you
have to
know?
be to create this kind of DNA and things like that, with all of the information that we find in it. Yeah, so there should be intelligence there.
So okay, so how would you know it would if it would be intelligent?
Well, when I look at the DNA structure and the sequencing of the DNA structure, because all it is code, right? It's information. Now, information can't come from an uninformed source.
yeah, no, so
I throw a rock into a puddle of mud. Hell, if a rock falls spontaneously from chemical erosion into a puddle of mud, the impression of the rock in the mud produces information about the rock, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Was there any intention in that random rock falling into the mud?
No, but the
Okay,
intelligence
so
comes from the one that is actually interpreting the impression that the rock made.
no, that information exists whether or not anyone is there or ever looks at it. Anyone
Does it produce intelligence? Does it produce
is
intelligence
it
for a rock to
information?
form? Yeah.
Okay,
Does
so
a rock that
information can
falls randomly
spontaneously
into a puddle
arise
of mud
through
produce
entirely natural
information?
processes without any kind of intention.
Well, maybe there is an intention behind it. Maybe the
Oh,
intention is for us to be able to look at the impression of that, and then draw information from that. Maybe that's the bigger intention behind it.
no. If it had an intention, that you say it's intelligent, correct?
Yes.
So then, do you think that that intelligence is fallible?
I think everybody's intelligence is fallible to some
Not
degree.
everybody. I'm talking about the mind behind the processes. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about the mind.
According to me, I don't know. Can it make mistakes or can it course correct? Probably.
So then that
Okay.
means it's not
So this thing,
intelligent to your interpretation.
No, just because you can make mistakes doesn't make you not intelligent. Sometimes
okay.
you can course correct.
So what this guy is okay, Tricky, here's what I'm hearing you're saying. Everything that ever happens, period, is from every mutation in every organism to every bear that farts in the woods is intended.
Well, farting in the woods is a byproduct of a bear that was intended, right?
Or every rock
That's just
slide, every tsunami, every supernova, everything that ever happens anywhere is part of this mind's intention.
I think when you look at the system, right, things happen that is inside of the system, and then there's things that I'm speaking about, which is outside of the system, which cause the entire thing to be. Now, when a rock falls randomly, is that intended? I wouldn't say that.
Okay,
When a
so
tsunami
when I
happens, I
described
wouldn't
a
say that
rock
that is
falling into
intended.
mud producing information, you started to backpedal and say, well, maybe it had intention. Do rocks falling into mud puddles have intention or not?
No. I can take that back. That probably not intended. That's just a
Okay.
byproduct of a system that was intended.
Okay, so then you acknowledge that information can spontaneously arise in nature without intent, without a mind, right?
No. I'm saying that information that exists that
Okay,
was
then what you're
intended can have byproducts. Can have
can
byproducts.
rocks falling into mud puddles produce information?
It can.
Okay. Did it happen with any intention or a mind involved?
No, it didn't. So we can
So
make sense
everything
of the
that
system that is
happens,
around us.
so
We
so
can make sense of
rocks
the
falling
system that
into
around us
mud puddles, producing information, has a mind involved in it.
as a whole. Yes, but when it comes to the closed system that we are observing, not necessarily.
I'm
So
talking
that's a
about the
tricky
closed
question.
system of the universe.
Okay, so when we're speaking about a random rock falling into a puddle of mud, this is a byproduct of a system that has allowed for us to have water, rocks, all of these other things. So I'm speaking about that. We have a system that has rocks. Now, when the rock decides to fall randomly, that's not an intention.
How can a
of the
rock decide to
rock.
fall randomly?
Well,
How
maybe
how can you decide to do something randomly?
how can you decide? A rock can lose its firmament and it can just degrade to a
No,
certain
do you
extent. Where
understand the contradiction in what you were saying? Something is either random or it's determined, right?
Not necessarily. I'm saying there's two propositions on the table. We have the closed system. Let's just say our Earth, for example. We don't have to go to the universe, but we can go there
Okay,
if you
if
want
you
to.
think that random or determined is a false dichotomy, what's the third option?
The third option is that there is a cause behind it all that is
So
outside of
determined.
yeah, that is outside of this. That
Okay, so
intended
it's
for certain
determined or
things
it's
to
random.
Where?
What is another option? You're saying it's a false dichotomy. Show me another option.
Okay, so the thing is, when we're looking at a rock falling
No,
randomly,
please
is
answer the
you-
question.
you're asking, is
You
that
said
determined or is
that determined or random is a false dichotomy. I want you to either address that point. Like,
Yeah,
you
I'm
need to
saying
address
that
that
the-
point.
I'm saying that the fact that we have rocks, that's determined.
No,
the fact
don't
that
change the
a
subject.
rock decides to fall randomly,
To address the
that's
point.
not
You
determined.
said that what I said was a false dichotomy. I need you to either acknowledge that it isn't or tell me another option because I'm not aware of any.
So give me your your claim again, just so that I'm not speaking. I'm not addressing a point that you are not making. Can you just give me that dichotomy again?
Okay. When something happens, it is either determined by some external force like a choice or a physical principle or something, or it's random.
Yeah. So we have this thing called nature, right? We do have nature around us, and things happen. Things biodegrade, rocks fall, things like that. But then we also have this thing outside, in my opinion, of the system that is the mind that gave us the framework for all of these things. So I don't know if that's going to answer your question in a satisfying way, but I'm saying that in the closed system, there are things that happen, like volcanic eruptions. I would say that that might not necessarily be determined, but that is a byproduct of a system that has been determined.
So determined or random, is there another option?
If we're
Either the
speaking
system
about,
determines it, or nature determines it, or it's random.
I think this is the question: is the system determined or not?
I don't really care. I want you to address whether that's a false dichotomy.
No, I won't say it's a false dichotomy.
Okay, so then I am right. Things are either determined or they're random. Sweet. I'm glad that we
a
established
rock
that.
falling into a puddle of mud is not the same as a human being deciding to feed a homeless person or kick a homeless person, right?
Humans are intentional
So
things.
don't. That's where the false dichotomy lies.
Humans exist.
You're taking an
They
inanimate
intentionally
object.
do things. We know that happens.
Sorry, say again?
I
Bro,
didn't
we
get
couldn't
that.
hear you.
They intentionally do things. We know that happens. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, when you say do rocks fall with intent or no?
No.
Okay. So information can arise spontaneously in nature without intent.
Yeah, it can.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you determining that the information in DNA isn't spontaneously arising in nature without intent? Now that we've established that it's possible for that to happen in principle, what is the mechanism that you are using to detect this intent?
Because there's a difference between a rock and DNA. There's complexity. There's information
In
that
what
goes into
way
the strand
are rocks
DNA.
and DNA different? Are they subject to different laws of physics?
Does a rock have DNA?
Is it made out of atoms?
Does a rock have DNA?
No. Is DNA made out of atoms?
So that in that way,
Is
it is
DNA made
different.
out of atoms?
There's more to
Are the
a
rules
DNA
that govern
molecule or
how
structure
DNA
than
behaves
just atoms.
different for rocks than it is for DNA?
Rocks don't have DNA.
Answer my question. That is not my question. Are the
Ask
rules,
your question again.
Are the rules that govern the behavior of DNA and rocks different?
Yes, because one refers to inanimate things and other things refer to animate things.
No.
There's a difference in that.
That does not answer my question.
But there's a difference in
laws of
that. You said,
physics
is it difference? I'm saying yes.
does chemistry work differently for a rock than it does for DNA?
Yes, it does. Because rocks don't have DNA.
How does the laws of chemistry change inside of a rock?
Because the complexity of a rock is not the same compared to the complexity of a DNA molecule, which is the ultimate kind of like building block for life. And when I say life, I'm saying animate life to form.
So how does an atom of calcium know that it's in a biological creature and not in a rock?
I don't know. That's a good question.
How does a atom of iron know that it's in an animal and not in a rock?
The better question is, how does an atom of iron know anything at all?
Good
if it hasn't got a
question.
mind
I would
behind
say
it.
that atoms don't know shit.
Exactly, and we would be in agreement with that.
Okay, so the rules that iron and every other atom is governed by is the same in both rocks and organisms.
Doesn't take away the fact that we still have iron, though, does it?
You've
And
entirely
iron
missed my
seems to
point.
have, iron seems to have intention behind it. It has function, it has intention behind it. You know, calcium has function, it has intention behind it.
Okay,
The
so-
calcium itself hasn't got the intention, but the thing that created the calcium, which has intention, has a mind behind it.
Okay, so the thing that created iron has intent, and so the intent exists not in biological organisms, but in the system.
Yeah, and the mechanism itself, the iron itself, which can
so
be
if it's in the
huge
system,
part
that
involving
system
the
applies
system up.
equally to rocks as it does to biological organisms.
Why do you say that?
Because they're governed by the same laws of physics.
Does it have the same chemical compounds and DNA?
Because they're
and
made out
everything in
of
it?
different atoms.
Is a rock inanimate?
Is rock made out of atoms?
Is a rock inanimate? Is there a difference between animate things and inanimate things?
All right.
In your opinion,
Is there a difference between living things and non-living things? Yes. Is a virus a living
what's the
thing?
difference? What's the difference?
So living things have
Mrs.
metabolisms, they have life cycles, they reproduce. Generally, they're made out of cells. I don't know if you would count a virus as alive, but
Would you say that there's more information to be derived from living things as opposed to non-living things?
no.
My point is,
No.
Tricky, I think the kind of thing here is the kind of scale. Is that when you go down, you're saying everything's with DNA. But on the same level as you look at the rock, they're very similar in the fact that on their own, they kind of don't do much. You know, you all these different mechanisms in place to do it. But what I understand is that you say DNA is so special, you know, it does this white.
Sorry, I didn't get the last part there. You said DNA is so special. What was
You
it?
claim that the big thing is that the creature has DNA. You know, what makes the DNA so special, especially on that level?
Yeah, the fact that we can, the fact that we can derive so much information from it, the fact that it forms the basis for, many of these living organisms that we observe. I think that is fundamental, to living organisms. So that's what makes it special.
So, if we're operating on the same thing, these things, there's no like magic there. We know that they operate on a level where we're able to see the mechanism and the mechanism takes place. Where within that does what you're claiming happen? Where is the like intentionality within DNA, within like replications, finding mutations? Where does it happen specifically?
Yeah, it happens. You're the chemist, so you can tell me how a DNA molecule is formed. Protein, amino acid, all of these things need to come together. And the likelihood, I think somebody done the math on this, the likelihood for a protein...
That's not what I was saying. I was more saying that when you have the organism and, you have DNA, when it replicates, usually you've got semi-conservative replication. Do you know what that is?
No, you can tell me.
It's how DNA copies itself. Basically, it splits in two, and then each strand, the nucleotides will join on, and basically
And
make
reattaches.
two strands from one.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that within this whole process, there is a lot of errors.
But it's got to be done in a particular way, right?
But
it's got to be done in a particular way.
not really,
If one,
because of the random nucleotides that come along, they have the high affinity. But because it's so speedy, the DNA polymerase we do makes a lot of mistakes. That's one of the main reasons we get mutations. Because, also our DNA repair mechanism isn't amazing, especially in humans.
is that why we get Down syndrome?
That's more due to having sex chromosome. That's more passed down. I think that's to do with meiosis more than anything. But just in mitosis in general, so DNA will copy itself and there'll probably be mutations. Where within that is this intentionality? Because on that molecular level, there would have to have been some kind of intervention. Where is it?
The intentionality is when it happens when the actual DNA strand is actually being formed, because it's building towards something.
Okay, so
it has a goal.
So randomly, so you've got the DNA, and you've got DNA polymerase, and basically it's helping to bind the random nucleotides to bind onto the corresponding ones. At what point in there is the intentionality? Like, what happens? Does a magical hand come along and put in the wrong one? What happens?
No, the intentionality is the fact that we can see that it is building towards something. It's moving in a particular direction, and it's never moving in,
But that's not
a
intentionality.
direction.
If there was no intentionality, there would be no mutations, and everything would be a very, very simple organism. Evolution is the idea that the random mutations that can happen can accumulate, and it's all random. You're saying there has to be intentionality behind these mutations. I'm saying how.
Because it leads us to a particular destination, which implies intentionality.
That's not an answer.
It leads us to a particular destination, which implies
How?
intentionality.
That's not an answer. Like, what's the particular mechanism? How does it work? Because we'd be able to record, if it was something physical, we'd be able to see it and we'd be able to study it, and there'd be studies on it. So where is it?
Maybe I'm not understanding your question. You're saying where does the your question? You're saying where does the intentionality come in? The very fact that we have proteins and amino
That's
acids
not.
and all of these other things that enable the possibility for DNA strands to
Yeah, but
form,
that's
you
not to
know,
do with intentionality. You're saying specifically in
evolution,
the
but
thing of
evolution
each
cannot account for
mutation
those
that
things.
happens.
Evolution can't account for these
That's
amino acids. It
it
can't.
does. That's okay. So ignoring this, because I know you're trying to change this again. Keeping on
They
this.
found
is
those
that you
amino
find-
acids on rocks in space naturally.
Yeah, we know he's trying to shift to abiogenesis, but with this whole topic is that you're saying that any change that happens, for example, any of the like physiological changes that we see in animals was due to intention. And it all goes down to DNA level, as you keep saying. So where in the DNA mechanism is there the intentionality? What does it do? How does it cause it to happen? Like, what's your mechanism?
Okay, here's it, right? If I want to create a fish, what am I going to need? I'm going to need amino acids. I'm going to need proteins. I'm going to need all of these other building block materials in order for me to ultimately get to a place where a fish is made, right?
Build a fish.
Now,
I
excuse
feel like
me?
You don't build a fish.
Okay. You're misinterpreting this because you've already got them. We've already got cells. These exist. You have a fish. A fish has protein, has amino acids, has.
Yeah, but a
nucleotides
fish
floating
is
around.
not amino acids. A fish is not
Yeah, a fish is a fish.
protein.
You have a fish cell. What causes this fish cell in your eyes? What intentionally changes? What's the mechanism? What's the guy doing to make it change?
To make it change into a fish?
Into the thing that if he designed it all in the way that he likes, how?
The process by which he uses to allow a fish to emerge, which is this amino acid process, you know, the folding and the unfolding of the protein, you know, all of these things that you speak about. Yes.
Okay, so the amino acid folding.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. What does that do?
It ultimately folds in such a way where new properties can emerge, new chemical compounds can attach to it, which would ultimately lead it to have the characteristics that it was intended for, which is being a fish.
How?
By the process, the unfolding and the folding, you know, the attaching.
You're just saying the process and the process, because for evolution, there's a clear process, which is the random mutations, because mutagen,
So evolution has a
polymerase,
process?
meiosis, any of these things changing. You're
So
saying
evolution
that
has a process.
But yeah, but the specific thing to cause the mutations is a process. We see
Okay.
meiosis, having
Yeah.
mutation. What is the process for what you're saying, which is there is
A
an intention to
process,
cause the
a
thing?
process without intention. What is that?
See, but you're saying
List of things that happen.
we're just asking for yours.
Process doesn't need an intention if it's
doesn't.
natural.
No, okay, when you've got this, when you've got the random nucleotides floating around, they've got the 3 phosphates on the end. Because of the high energy, when the ATPase within the DNA polymerase complex snaps it, this provides the energy, and this allows it to bind. You've got the leading and the lagging strand, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like, you know. But we've got this all established, and it's all random, because sometimes...
But
DNA
then something
polymerase
emerges
mistakes-
from that, right? Something emerges out of that.
Let me speak. DNA polymerase makes mistakes. Sometimes it'll put in the wrong one. It'll put an A instead of a T. A really recent example, a girl with CPS1 deficiency. This is a gene that's responsible for basically making us pee. Because when we break down proteins, they turn into ammonia, and that gets taken out by urea. But the mutation in this stops a product of that being formed, which is carbonyl phosphate. We fixed that using CRISPR. It's very cool. But the issue is that, you know, the mechanism for that was caused by a single gene mutation of DNA polymerase putting something in the wrong place. And that was random. It was a random location within it. You're saying it can't be random, so I'm saying how? What's the mechanism that isn't random?
It cannot be random given the fact that it takes us somewhere. It takes us to a particular place.
But
you know?
So it doesn't matter. It could have been a mutation in a random piece of junk DNA. It could have been a mutation there. It was just random chance to hit the CPS1 gene.
So it's just random. Yes, so it's just random chance that we evolved lungs with all of its capabilities, you know, breathing, all of the things, the way that it looks,
We're able to
all of
see
the
from
proteins
the-
that
it was from
takes
the
to actually
arches.
sequence itself in such a way that it actually looks like a lung, you
Well, yeah,
know,
because-
and the heart with all of its different
You'd say
mechanisms.
this, and you'd say, how does this happen? But then
All
you'd
random.
see- But if you
Yes,
this
all
now, you're
Unguided.
able to see each step
unguided.
existing. Do you
No
know,
mind
look at
behind it.
lungfish, for
No
example.
mind behind it.
Lungfish are the perfect in between because they are fish with lungs, you know? And it's like you're able to see all different things from anything. You'll probably, like the eye, for example, you can see the whole evolution of that. Because evolution isn't a one thing, it hasn't happened once. All these different things are trying to do the same thing. So you're able to see right now different animals in different stages convergently evolving the same thing. You know?
Yeah, a fish with lungs is still a fish with lungs, right?
Okay. Yes.
That's a destination. That's a
Got
destination.
lungs, and you said how do they
That's
get
not a
lungs?
destination
No
though.
destination. They keep
It's not just a bunch of chemicals, proteins attaching to each other. That's a fish with lungs.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
intention.
yeah. All life is biological. It's
Yeah, it made
called
of cells.
biochemistry.
It's not done evolving.
Okay, the issue is I don't think you understand the different scales of this because when you say okay it's a DNA and I'm like how, and you say I don't know, and they say it's a big level, oh I don't know, it must be, how does it happen on the big? Like, please give me a mechanism so I can understand what your point of view is, because it seems like you're just trying to bash one thing but not having any mechanism of your own.
Okay, I'll give it to you in a practical example, right? I'm trying to make a chicken
You know,
curry.
scientific, like fully just go
Yeah,
into
okay.
detail what it is.
I'm trying to make a chicken curry. First thing that I'm gonna need is I'm gonna need bay leaves. I'm gonna need tomatoes. I'm gonna need oil. All of these other bits and pieces that I'm gonna have to bring together, you know. And then I'm going to have to add some spices and salt and pepper and whatever the case may be. And ultimately, I'm going to present you with the best plate of chicken curry that you've ever tasted in your life. Now, all of these different things on its own does not make the chicken curry the chicken curry. It's the bringing together of all of these things for it to work in a particular way with a particular heat setting, you know, for a particular period of time, which would ultimately present you with this delicious plate of food that I just presented you with. Now, when we look at it from a molecular standpoint, this is the same thing that's happening. It's almost like,
Nope.
you know, this is
Nope.
leading us.
I just want to
it's-
hear Matt. I want to hear what he says. Just
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
it's almost as if all of these things that is happening on the molecular level is building towards something which emerges, you know, that I would probably say a beautiful chicken curry that's in front of you. But all of these things on its own does not make up the chicken curry. It's the combination of all of it, and it's also the intention of me that has a chicken curry in the back of my mind that I want to make.
Curry is
see, okay, that's the thing because so far it seems like you agree with
Hold on.
evolution.
Here's a quick
It's not-
question.
only
Quick
if-
question.
Okay, what's that one?
Since you're using the food analogy, right? If I have a bunch of unlabeled cans, I have no idea what's in them. I open them, I put them in a pot, I cook it, and I eat it. Did I intend to have that dish, or was it just circumstances of what was in the cans?
It's not going to be a chicken curry, though.
But I didn't set out to make a chicken curry. I didn't go collect chicken and
Yeah, but if you
curry
wanted
powder.
to, if you
No,
wanted
no,
to
no.
make a fish,
Look, why does it need a crater is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
if I
If you wanted
dump
to make a
bu-
fish,
no,
you
look,
can't just
if
use a bunch of random cans.
If
If
you
you wanna
dump
make
a bunch of random
The
chemicals
thing that's a non
together,
sequitur.
if
You supported my
bunch of-
argument.
What
If
ingredients do
you
you make in a
dump
kitchen
a
to make
bunch
your
of
dish?
random chemicals together, they will do what chemicals do. They will have a reaction, and if I didn't select the chemicals beforehand, intentionally select which ones to use, I just grabbed a bunch of random ones, dumped them together. I do not intend the reaction that occurs, but the reaction will still occur.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
to
it
move
won't
on
be a
from that,
chicken
like-
curry, will it?
Here's
Yeah, but it
another way
won't be a
to
chicken
phrase
curry.
it.
Moving on
I
from
didn't
that
set
part.
out to make
Where
a chicken
does
curry.
chemistry
Wait, so-
end and life
That-
begin?
Yeah, so tricky. From
Because
this,
you
so
said
have-
chemistry is without intent, but life is with intent. Where does chemistry end and life begin?
Well, that would have been somewhere around the time that the first single-cell organism evolved, I would say. Life began at that
Yeah,
point.
the process.
on like
of
the
chemistry.
scales.
Where do the rules of chemistry go out the fucking window and intent gets injected inside?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
what I
what I'm
was trying
saying.
to ask
There's
as well.
not. I'm
Oh, Roger,
arguing
this
that
is
there
aimed towards
is no
tricky.
intent.
Clarifying. is what I mean.
You just defended my position wholeheartedly, and I want to thank you, Roger, for doing that. Because if you put a bunch of unlabeled cans in a pot, and you just going to eat whatever comes out of that, then fair point. But if you want to make a chicken curry, you have to make sure all of the mechanisms that you are using is going to lead you to the destination that you want to get to, which is presenting your loved one
Tricky,
with
is
a
it
beautiful
possible that he
plate
makes a
of
chicken
chicken
curry by
curry.
accident?
Okay, tricky. So I
Yes,
guess my
chicken
kind
curry
of
was probably
You
originally
can't
made by
expansion to
accident.
this one.
The
You
point
can't make
is
chicken
that
curry by
at
accident,
the
and that's my
point you're
point.
talking about,
How is it not possible to make a chicken curry by accident? I could be blindfolded and grab the ingredients without any fucking idea of what I'm grabbing, throw it in
Unlabeled?
a pot, and it be a chicken curry.
Yeah,
How is that not
My-
possible?
Tricky,
well,
my extension
if
to
you had a
this would
billion
be
years,
if you-
if you had a billion years, I'm sure you'd probably get it right eventually, right?
well, we
But
spent 4.5 on Earth to get life right, so look what's happened.
Yeah,
did you
tricky.
get chicken curry?
Imagine you're on a cooking
No,
show,
we got life
yeah,
and
and
humans,
imagine you're sat there and you've got
which
all
is
these
better
random
than chicken
pots.
curry because we can make chicken curry ourselves.
Yeah, well, then it means you have an intention. Yeah, you made chicken curry with intention. You knew
Yeah,
what
but
labels to use.
but
You
I'm not.
knew
Look,
how to use
look,
it.
tricky. You are trying to compare a time when there was nothing but chemicals. Those chemicals don't have intentions. If they come in contact with another chemical, whatever reaction that is supposed to happen when those two chemicals come in contact is going to occur with no intention behind it. When you just have chemicals free floating and they bump into each other, shit happens. That shit
Yeah.
led to life. Unfortunately
Beautiful.
for you.
Beautiful. And I appreciate the answer. But what I'm saying is if I have 6 cans that is unlabeled and I'm blindfolded and I put it in a pot, but I'm trying to create a chicken curry.
Then you were wrong to start with because you can't do that.
Yeah,
If I was
tricky.
trying to
Okay,
create a fish,
tricky. Imagine
labels
you've got,
matter if you're
imagine you've got a bunch of
blindfolded.
unlabeled cans, and about half of them are gonna, be really yucky and terrible. About half aren't. You've got 5 contestants, like a cooking show. If you make this thing and the lowest one got taken out of the cooking show, and you've got to keep the dish you had, the dish that are left are going to be better, even though it was all completely random. And then you keep doing this process where the next you add more ingredients, and the ones that make it kill you or disgusting then get voted off by the judge. Eventually, you're going to say, "Oh my god, look at this! This complete through these random cans, we got an amazing meal."
okay,
Oh my
okay,
God,
Look at how
we
many
managed to make
people
chicken
got
curry.
picked off.
okay. Here's the thing, right? So you're saying that the theory of evolution has discretion. It can decide that which it wants and that which
It's
it
not
doesn't want.
decide, it's that the ones will get eaten if they don't. If you've got a random mutation in a fish that's going to make it bright purple, it's going to be dinner by the end of the day. And that's
Starving
that's the selection.
to death intentional.
So natural
That's
selection.
the selection that we're talking about.
So natural selection. It can select.
No, it's not a
Natural
selection
selection
of
is just one aspect of
Yeah.
evolution.
Can
Yeah.
natural selection select that which it wants and that which it doesn't want?
that. Like
We can select the ones. Well,
It
the
doesn't want
predators want
shit.
to eat,
Do you
and the prey
understand
don't
what
want to
natural
come out.
selection is?
No, I think Tom's gonna answer, and then you can come at me, Raj. No
Like saying
problem.
the thunder is
No, no,
angry or
no.
some shit like that.
What's the point of us continuing to talk about natural selection if you are running on a definition of natural selection that's incorrect?
I'm just asking a simple question. Can natural selection select?
What is natural selection?
Here's the question.
Can natural selection select?
What? No, answer the
What
question. What is natural
is
selection?
natural
With a purpose.
selection?
According to you.
If you don't
your
know
whatever-
what natural selection is, there is no point in continuing the discussion.
According to Roger's understanding of what natural selection
I'm
is.
asking
Answer to
you,
your
I'm
understanding.
asking you, Tricky, what is natural selection? Direct question, direct answer, please.
Unguided process, which ultimately
No.
leads to,
No. Look,
mechanisms that are able to thrive.
Tricky, let me give you an example of natural selection that is Not beneficial for the species, but still occurs anyway. Peacocks, all right? The prettier the male peacock, the more likely he is to get a lady peacock, all right? Also, the prettier the male peacock is, the more likely he is to get eaten. Unfortunately, because he's pretty to the females, he's passing that gene on before getting eaten. So, all the male peacocks are pretty because that's what the females like, even though it's dangerous to the male peacocks to be pretty.
Hey, listen, just because you're attracted to male peacocks, mate, doesn't mean I think they're pretty.
Instead of responding with a smirk, why don't you respond to the actual point? Like, you don't have to be quick every time.
No, because I'm being
Ricky,
serious.
that is the most disingenuous, bullshit fucking response.
He knows he's wrong. He wants to run gracefully.
So we
are talking about a natural selection versus sexual selection in the case of peacocks.
Okay, so so we're saying that
are you
peacocks
being
have
so disingenuous?
preferences. So we're saying that peacocks have preferences.
Peahens have preferences for mate selection. Yes.
Okay, no problem. So is it nature that gives them that preference?
It's about the fact that it doesn't work out in other ways because of their certain.
So we can't.
What gives them that
You
preference?
sound too far.
Yeah, there is the preference, sexual selection, because the more you can boast and the more you not points, but the more standing you have to go, shows you have higher fitness because you're able to be there. Like,
feathers hurts and helps them.
I don't understand.
The selection will make.
I don't understand what you think. It doesn't make sense with natural guided selection. I feel like just the thing of two animals, one wanting to eat the other and the other not wanting to be eaten, kind of guides things quite quickly. That's the intelligence you're talking about, is individual organisms not wanting to get munched. And if they do, they do, and they can't spread on their genes.
He says he has to run now.
Here's another example of natural selection. Rabbits. Some rabbits have less hair than others. So in a warmer climate, so as they reproduce and they expand into new territories, the ones with less hair, like thinner fur, will have a selective advantage because they don't overheat and die.
Yeah, I think the guys...
Because they overheat.
Oh,
Or if they're advancing into a colder climate.
Electric, he's got to
The
go.
ones with thicker fur.
I mean, just before, it's like a closing thing. Like, I genuinely believe that nothing that anyone will say is going to change your mind. I think you'll just set on your beliefs, and that no amount of anything is going to change it.
Or you can even there's even a species of birds that was once extinct that came back because they came from the same.
Yeah,
he left.
that was a cool discussion, but I feel like once you get to that point, no matter what you say, but I found out some really cool things.
No, it's that the problem is that you guys were going in at it at a science using facts. He was just Phil-broing you guys. That's why Electric Space Potato was cooking. He was cooking him when you kept on grilling him about his notion of intelligent mind, which doesn't even make any sense.
I wasn't trying to kind of.
Right, and this is why
Horribly designed.
I was getting into whether or not there's a intent in chemistry, because there's chemistry in rocks. The chemistry that works in rocks or inanimate objects, non-living things, is the exact same chemistry that works in living things. But he says that suddenly when things are alive, they have intent.
Physics, everything tracks to physics.
Yeah,
But he's saying this part about it that had nothing to do with it every time.
If there was intent with humans, they didn't do a very intentful job because we suck for our environment.
Yeah, Cajun, you gotta speak up. You gotta speak up, bro.
Sorry.
Yeah, it really made me wonder. Like, I wanted to ask, like, if you were more genuine, I would ask, like, what is the intent of, like, how many teeth a human should have? How many teeth are humans intended to have? Because, like, I'm a perfect example of how that's, like, a nonsense question. Because I was born with a different number than most humans.
It's currently quite late here, so I'm probably gonna drop down. But this was quite fun. I learned a lot of stuff today that I wasn't expecting. It was really cool.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Yeah,
You're
thank you.
welcome. Hope you can hear me. Oh, damn. Are you guys able to hear me? Hello? You guys able to hear me? Okay. Yeah, I was trying to say good job because, like Chris was saying, y'all was grilling them, or you were grilling them specifically. But yeah, damn, I feel bad because was trying to tell Tom, but he's always welcome.
Worries. Yeah, there were a couple different avenues of approach that I had considered, because I was listening to you guys for a minute, and it seemed like he was trying to weasel his way into, like, this unfalsifiable position where fuck ups don't count, but, like, there's intent.
Choosing things.
No, and like the thing is, that's why I was asking him that set of questions, because he kept on asking the same thing in a roundabout way. So I wanted to know what did he mean about the intelligent mind? What is the goal that he thinks is happening?
You saw how long it took him to acknowledge that things are either determined or random. Like, is just getting him to acknowledge that point was fucking hard.
He kept talking about intent. Why are there so many weird-ass fish out there with zero purpose? Like the sunfish. Zero purpose. Can't even eat it. It's just huge and pointless.
It's got no points.
Oh yeah,
I'm see you later, man.
I
Thanks for
love
letting me up.
sunfish. They're just
Don't get me
such
wrong,
fucking,
they're awesome.
like,
They
yeah,
are
they're
awesome.
in how terrible
pointless.
they are.
Yeah, they're pointless. They are pointless.
Yeah, the sunfish is like...
Actually, I take that back. They are not pointless because when they do pass on, they add to the circle of life or whatever, but until that point, they are pointless.
For basically ever.
Right, like 400 years, right?
Jellyfish, though, so that's a natural predator of them.
There is an immortal jellyfish which blows my mind.
Yeah.
Where was the intent behind that?
Yeah.
What's the intent behind that? Also, what about all the just straight venomous and poisonous creatures out there? What's the intent behind that? Making us have to run an obstacle course to stay alive? Are we on, like, God Ninja Warrior or something?
I was gonna try and get him to talk about parasites, whose, like, whole life cycle is fucking over, like, other animals, in, like, really gruesome ways. But he wouldn't commit on a position about, like, what is their intent? Well, just that there is an intent. Like, Christ.
That
And like,
How do you
parasite,
know if there's an intent if like you don't have any idea what they're intending?
and I just wanted to know if that mind that he said that gives intent to things was intelligent or not. He couldn't even answer that.
Well, yeah, is the more you commit to a position, the easier it is to grill down into you. Like,
you know, here's one. If there was a mind behind all this life on the planet, right? It's demented.
it's evil as fuck.
Like,
If there's intent, it's evil as fuck.
demented. Oh my god, look at some of the animals out there. Look, I learned about two animals recently that is just wrong, and that's a hoop snake and a drop bear.
Yeah, koalas are fun.
Those two things are just wrong. You know what a hoop
Yeah,
snake is?
koalas. Huh?
A hoop snake. Do you know what a hoop snake is?
No.
Alright, so it's a snake. It hunts by going up at the top of hills, and when it sees prey that it wants, it bites its tail, turns itself into a hoop, and rolls down the fucking hill and launches itself at it.
That's not real.
Are you sure? Because, like,
That's
I hope that's not, because that's insane.
That's 100% fake.
Okay, good.
But
Or
drop
the
bears
fact that
koalas.
Drop bears are real though.
the fact that like they're in Australia, like a place that humans haven't evolved from. There's like several different species of animals, like spiders, snakes, and I think, and a mammal, the platypus, all have venom that's very like it affects us greatly.
Oh, yeah, they've got, like,
Want to
what,
know is
llamas?
why? What's the intent behind giving koala?
What's the...
I didn't hear it.
Koalas, 95% of them have chlamydia?
All
And smooth
koalas
brains.
have
All of them have smooth
chlamydia.
brains. Yeah, and smooth brains, like completely smooth. They are
Like
the
that
definition.
meme is all slide right off. No lumps, no bumps, no wrinkles. Is all thoughts just slide right off.
You know what I
I think-
find depressing about sloths? Their number one op in the world is having to go number two. Because to do it, they have to come out of, I don't know why, but they have to come out of the trees onto the ground, and they are so slow, they just become targets.
A sloth's survival strategy is to be unappetizing. Predators don't want to eat sloths unless they're starving.
Oh, I'm just saying that's their most dangerous time is when they do go number two.
And they're so dumb. You can put a leaf in front of them of the thing that they eat, and they won't eat it because they can't recognize it as the thing that they eat.
Yeah, you're talking about koalas there.
Let's do that too.
Tell me why koalas are literally the dumbest animal on the planet, but they're still better at being alive than panda bears.
Because, well, I would argue that they're just as bad, but it's because they eat poison. Like, their diet is entirely poison.
Panda bears or koalas?
Plus,
I was gonna say, isn't what pandas eat not very nutritional as well?
it's
At
not
least
very
the form they
nutritious because
chose.
it's grass.
Huh?
But it's not very nutritious because it's grass, what pandas eat. But koalas, they're basically the equivalent of like an animal that drank nothing but malt liquor. That's its entire diet.
When I was in middle school, we got assigned countries to do reports on, and we had to make a dish from the country. And I don't know what kind of eucalyptus was, but it was kind that you could make tea out of, and I made tea out of it, and we didn't pre-test it. The first person to taste it, I thought they were going to cry. It was so bad. So bad. Probably the worst thing I've tasted in my life. Well.
All right, I gotta go.
All right, see you,
It
man.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you for the knowledge dump there. I appreciate that.
It's always a joy to have you on, brother. Appreciate you. Shit, what y'all up to?
Shoot, I'm hitting that I'm hitting that tobacco.
Oh,
The regular, not the green.
you gotta watch your mouth, Christopher. But yeah,
What I can't say TOB.
nah, say Becky. You gotta come up with your own
Ah,
slang. But yeah, you smoking the wacky or the backy?
the backy, just the backy, regular.
You. That sounds like a nice, refreshing bottle of water that you're sucking out of a straw.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, I remember I had an Aussie buddy, like an Australian friend that I used to play with on Xbox, and every time he like drank from his, it sounded like he was actually drinking from water, like a water bottle, like going like. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, I think he had a little one, like a little handheld water bottle. The little handheld water bottles are definitely handy.
Hell yeah.
Just get a Camelback.
What do you mean?
You don't know what a Camelback is? It's literally like a backpack, but it's designed to hold liquids, and it has a little straw that goes over the shoulder to the mouth.
Oh no, we're not actually talking about an actual water bottle.
Well, I'm just saying this can be filled with any liquid that you choose.
I know, but I wasn't actually talking about drinking it.
It's consuming something, but it ain't liquid.
I got you.
Yeah, imagine a base with a metal cone and part of it. Put your mouth on the part that the flower would go into, and you inhale.
You might want to Snap. I think you might want to restart this. There's not. Yeah.
All right.